You're listening to Ernestly Speaking, the only weekly podcast that covers friends, foes, and anything that goes. And now, for your badass host, Ernest Owens. And we're back for another episode of Ernestly Speaking with your host, Ernest Owens, myself. It is finally the grand finale, season 5. Here we are. An end of a great season, of a great year, to be honest. But my goodness, here we are, season 5, episode 25 of the 5th season. We have about 150 episodes. We've done about 150 episodes. What a moment. What a moment. What a year. You know, I feel revived. I feel like I'm finally getting into the groove of this show. And I've already done 150 episodes. But I tell people all the time with podcasting that it is a skill. It takes a lot of discipline. It takes a lot of practice and production. You know, a lot of people are now doing what I call limited series podcasts because they realize to try to put on a whole show is work. And, shout out to my limited series people, but this isn't a limited series. This is a full, entree. This is not a special. This is, a routine. And so it's been really great to see all the love I've gotten for this podcast. It's been so much buzz. The numbers came in a little earlier than predicted. And let me just sidebar say that I know a lot of you are like, why is this episode coming out super early? Because I was not going to put it out on Christmas where you all would have been opening gifts or sleeping or relaxing. I said, let me give y'all a little Christmas gift. Surprise, surprise, early gift. This episode is out earlier. And also give you all some time to really, get into, the groove. So for starters, the stats came from Buzzsprout that this podcast, and these are this year's figures, that 25 is in the top 25% of all podcasts, which is pretty awesome because there's a lot of podcasts out there. And so for us to be in the top 25, shout out to that. This year, the podcast played in 53 countries. We did a total of 55 episodes, 56 if you include this one because they didn't count this final episode stats. And there was 34,600 new subscribers this year. And this is individuals who downloaded the podcast onto their phone to, or subscribe. That's how they would call it. They call it the downloads for people who don't, if you don't have, if you're not charging people, but if you basically subscribe, it's considered a download. So shout out to the nearly 35 new subscribers who listened. I'm super excited. The goal is, I think we're now roughly around, we're definitely over 75K now. I know that because that was earlier. We had about 75,000 subscribers. Now I'm trying to get to 100K next year. That's my goal. That's the goal. Hold me accountable. We're looking for 100K. Shout out to the subscribers. And shout out to people who just listen because I don't charge. And people say, well, how do you have so many subscribers? It's because I don't charge. I think, there are other ways to monetize a podcast. And I get the people that do. I get it. Everybody has their, their thing. But I really felt like if I really wanted to get the message out and really want to get as many people to consume these types of discussions and these ideas, I had to find a different way to do it. And so, shout out to the people who do, who are following and enjoying and, being able to access great intellectual dialogue. Now, we'll be talking about power bottoms in a minute, but that is still an intellectual conversation. So thank you. Thank you all. Thank you to the new subscribers. Thank you to the ones who've been loyal since 3 years ago? It was the end of 2020 when I did the sneak peek episode. It was around this time 3 years ago, like when we were in the depths of the pandemic, we were waiting for a vaccination to come through, and we were on the brink of what was about to be an insurrection. So it's been an interesting 3 years and so much has happened since, right? But this year, it keeps getting better. The top episodes, the most listened to episodes of this year. So this includes various seasons, but this year, the number one was Earnestly Speaking Special Edition, Behind My Unprecedented Outing at NABJ. Yes, of course, that episode, that special edition when I talked about my breakup with NABJ, the band, the separation. It was so many nosy people who wanted to know what the tea was. Now, a lot of you all who subscribe and follow, definitely was listening. But there was, of course, the ops and everybody in between from across the country, around the world, clearly wanted to know what went down. And so that episode had an exponential amount of streams and listens and whatnot, and they said it was the top one of the year. Number two was episode 12 of season 4, which was Trump played us with his arrest stunt, 76ers arena backlash, what the fuck, Jonathan Majors. That was when Jonathan Majors had first been charged. There was accusations about him, and we were like, what? And now we can now say, wow, because now we know what the conclusion was. He was found guilty. So we'll get more onto that. Episode 3, special edition. This was how the progressives blew the Philly Democratic primary. This was a big one. I remember this one. Okay, this was a very big episode. And this episode was about, this special edition episode was right after Sherelle Parker won. And, Helen Kim and Rebecca Reinhardt canceled each other out. It was a major episode, and I will never forget it. The 4th episode was the Explosive 100th episode, which was the first episode of 2023. The 100th episode of Ernestly Speaking, which was dope. That was a big one. And, I can imagine, given that it was the first episode of the year, maybe all of the people who are catching up this season or these past seasons probably started there. But it definitely got a lot of people excited about the season premiere. And that was season 4 premiere. And then the 5th episode, which I'm going to look, because they only gave me the top 5. They didn't give me a top 10. The 5th episode was Earnestly Speaking, episode 10. Trump might get criminally charged. Oscars redeemed itself. The curious case of Philly's Your Fave Trash Man. So this episode, this was really good. This is when I did the Oscar review. I talked about the prospects of Trump on the horizon. Now, this is why I think it's funny to look back at episodes, even in a year, because this was the episode when we were like, is he finally going to get an indictment? And now Trump then got several indictments, federal, regional, he even got all types of indictments. But at the time, this was a big damn deal. Like, will he finally be criminally charged? Like, will he face, indictments and things? Like, we didn't, it was always hinted, but we was on the cusp. And so this episode in season 4, episode 10, we were on the break of figuring out if that was going to happen. And as you can see, we did. It was a moment. It was it was, oh goodness. Some other things. So thank you all for supporting the podcast. Keep telling your friends. I mean, each week, there's been a boom of engagement and support. And I just wanted to take this moment to let you all know this holiday season that I am grateful and thankful for you all, because you all make this possible. From listeners like you, thank you. If you don't know, if she don't know or he don't know where that came from, he too young for you. I just want y'all to know that he too young for you. She's too young for you. If you didn't know what I was hinting at in that reference, there was a joke that was on Twitter earlier over the weekend. It was people who were talking about, are you old enough to remember this? And I'm talking about books, popular children's books. And this is more people in my age, like millennials. We were like topping each other about books. And it was like talking about childhood books that we was reading. So like Roll Up Thunder, Hear My Cry, Bud Not Buddy, remember that? The Watsons Go to Birmingham, remember that classic book, the book Munster? I used that book in reference by Walter Dean Myers. These are like books we read in our childhood. Listen, Ramona, we ain't gonna play with her, okay? We're not gonna play with my girl Ramona. Judy Blume had us in the clutch with her books. And what's the other one? Junie B something. She was a little badass girl, was always in trouble. There was, we were just talking about like the books. Where are the books? What are the kids reading now? My younger brother, he's 13. But like, I remember when he was young, he was reading Diary of a Wimpy Kid. That was like their book. That was like their, Judy Blume era type of book. I remember Charlotte's Web. I remember the classics. But like, I was like, what are the kids reading now? Are they reading? What's going on with literature? Are they just banning so many books the kids can't read a goddamn thing? Like, I remember we had Harry Potter, the bootleg Harry Potter. That was Archimedes Fowl for those who remember. I feel like Archimedes Fowl was a bootleg Harry Potter. I feel like everybody was trying to make it. But the original Harry Potter, okay, is Chronicles of Narnia, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. Okay, I remember that book and the Turkish Delight. I remember we read that in class and they had us eat that nasty ass candy. It's like, oh, remember Turkish Delight? It was not good. But in the book, it sounded good, but it wasn't good in real life. Okay, nostalgia overload. But like, no one's reading books. What are the kids reading nowadays? What do they have? We had Twilight, even though I wasn't really personally into Twilight. But I just remember like we had eras. Like there was eras. There were books that matched our moods. I'm trying to think of all the books I was reading when I was little, like that I was gravitating to. I don't know what the kids read now. Is there like a series? Is like a fantasy series or something that's popping? Like kids are not excited. I remember when books, it was we was in lines for books. It wasn't a line to like to go see. We had long lines for movies and we had long lines for books. I remember when I was little, it would be like midnight. I was outside of Barnes and Noble, baby. I had the hat on, ready for what was that? That was Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, the blue one, the dark blue one. I was out late at night outside of that damn Barnes and Nobles, and they had a Starbucks. Mm-hmm. And even though we don't bang with any of these things anymore, Harry Potter, Starbucks, we don't bang with these things anymore. But there was a time where, there was hype. Where's the hype for books? No one's hype anymore. What are we doing? Our society, what's going on? Kids are not excited. So it's interesting. I mean, maybe there is, maybe I don't know. And I also was talking about this other day, like for Christmas, right? Getting ready for Christmas. My younger brother, he got the new little iPhone 15, which I'm just over. I was, see, I've gotten older and now I'm becoming that person. I'm becoming the Grinch. I'm just like, why is he getting a new phone every year? He's 13. Why does he need a phone every year? I don't know. I mean, like, where are the games? Where are the games? I remember when I was little, Christmas is a big thing. We used to have all these games. We had all types of silly, stupid ass games, but they were fun. And it was like, you had like all types of random games. You had like big toys, little toys. Like Christmas had a range to it. You had like, okay, the small little gifts, the stocking stuffers. Then you had the, mid-tier gifts. Then you had the real big epic gift, but you only had about maybe like two of those big gifts, like a big old thing, like a new PlayStation or something like that. You had the big ass gifts, but then you had like those mid tier gifts, but it was like a range. We don't have that anymore. It's just like you just get the big ass gift and you go. Maybe that and some new shoes or something the kids want. My little brother is like, I looked under that Christmas tree, I was like, you just going, he got about maybe three or four something little gifts, some clothes and some things, but the range, the little tiers. Cause I remember when I was little, it was like, okay, it was like the candy. It was a little fun, little random, little silly, little balls, bouncing ball, little things, little whatever. Then you had the playing cards. Then you got to the mid tier, and that was like DVDs. See, I'm telling you my age, but 32 ain't. Come on, like DVDs, CDs. Okay, we had that, right? You had that. You had like the board games, like Monopoly. You had all these little fun little games in between, some video games, and then you had the big ass thing, like the big gift. That's the gift you was like, ooh, I had an electric scooter one year. What else did I have? I mean, we had the PlayStation, one of them, which one, I don't know which one it was, the PlayStation 2, one of them. And then it was like, oh, I remember I got a portable DVD player, which in retrospect, looking back, that still was fly. But the portable DVD player, do y'all remember that? Like, it was like a little laptop, but then you open it up and you had a little charger, and then you could put the DVD in and you could watch movies on it. And it was like a nice little, it almost felt like a mini TV. And you could like put it right next to you. Like I would like watch my movies, have my headphones in, and watch them in the privacy of my own room. I'd have to go in the living room and stuff. I could watch all my own little movies. Best thing ever. So dope. These were the things, because laptops, like, I don't think I got my first, like, personal laptop until, my senior year in high school, maybe? Because that's when I was, like, having to write papers. And do y'all remember floppy disks? because I remember I used to like I don't know why I'm in nostalgia overload, but like I used to get a floppy disk. I used to go home, I used to write my paper, and then I would get floppy disk. I would save on the floppy disk, then I would go to school, put it in the school computer, and then print out when I had to print out on the floppy disk from there. Cause listen, printers and printer ink, I remember that was like my mama was like, you can't waste my printer ink for your whatever. So I used to print out all kind of things. Like I used to print out things on MapQuest. Yes, I'm taking it there. Do y'all remember MapQuest before there was like what's this GPS or whatever this crap is? I don't know how to drive, so I don't know what to call it. But you remember like MapQuest where you would have to look up a location, print out the directions, and have to make sure you had the directions and you had to, whoever was driving the car had to know. Yeah, yeah. I did a lot of printing. Oh, and I used to print out lyrics of songs. These were the days. Everybody downloaded Napstar. People never went that far. Everybody had DVDs. Those were the days. People never asked if you were gay. They would say you were gay. Why? No one ever knew that P. Diddy was going to be accused of these crimes. Britney Spears kept her wig on. Everybody wore platinum FUBU. No one ever asked what's GMOs. Those were the days. Those were the days. What happened? Vin Diesel were in movies, not getting accused of, like it. What was? Those were the days. So I don't know. This Christmas, it just seems so different. It just seems so different. It just did. But no, Houston has been great. I caught up with a good friend of mine, who is awesome. Um, my friend, Jeremy, who I went to school with, I went to Penn with. He and I have was been friends for like over a decade. He now lives in Houston, and so we caught up and went to a really great Tex-Mex spot. I've been doing a lot of Tex-Mex in Houston, like just overload. Taco Cabana. Then I went to Los Cocos, which was a really nice Mexican Tex-Mex restaurant. First of all, I put some of it on Instagram, and y'all were, getting y'all life, okay? Because I got my whole life. The bill only came out to like a little bit of over close to 100, but you saw all the things we ate, all the margaritas. I mean, like real margaritas, big ass margaritas. So much good food. They had a tres leche cheesecake that was like to die for. We had like this big, huge Spanish pot of all these like different things on the hot with the homemade tortillas, and these were like real tortillas, like the not that white random floury based ones, not the corn ones that are like too small. It was like that really great in between. I can't describe it. It was just so good. That was some good ass food. Like I live for it, live for it, live for it. It was so good. What else did I eat around here? I did a lot of eating at home. Oh, I had gumbo. I had a really good Southwest like chili. Like you just can't get, I love a really good Texas chili. Like see, the East Coast, I don't know. Chili in the East Coast ranges, right? Some people like beans, some people don't. Here we do three beans. Okay, we do three beans. You're gonna put some chicken in there. You're gonna get some good ground beef. It's a vibe. Like it's a full-fledged experience. And you don't eat it with like, what do people eat it with crackers? Tortilla chips, baby. A good tortilla chip. Or you can have it with cornbread. Some people eat it with cornbread around here. It just, but it's so good. Ah, the food is so good. What else? I'm getting ready to cook for Christmas. It's gonna be a big old Christmas feast. My brother's girlfriend is coming over. Not the 13-year-old. He doesn't have a girlfriend. My Temple Owl, his girlfriend, which you probably have seen her on social, and things together. She's been around. But she's gonna be here. There's no lobster, but she'll be here and she'll enjoy. Um, no, she'll be here for the holidays, so it's gonna be fun. But see, we old school here. It was a whole little debacle because everyone was like, well, well, are they staying in a room together or are they like in a guest room? Oh, she's going to the guest room and he's going to his room. These individuals they might be adult age, but they're definitely not adults in this house. So no, she has a guest room. She's going to be sleeping there, and he's going to be sleeping in his room. And our room, me and Mr. Johnson, our room together is in between. So we just like to just, be the monitor and the chaperone and make sure there's no cross walking, at night. Don't go in there. Where are you going, young man? No, I'm teasing. But no, I'm actually not teasing. But no, so that's funny. People were teasing me though. They were all like, "Why you like, well, everybody knows they probably." I said, "Look, whatever they're doing, I don't know what that is. Okay, that's what happens in North Philly around Temple, baby. That doesn't happen over here in this area code. There's none of that happening. Okay, in this house, you must be, of over the age of 21 with a job, paying rent, paying bills, and even in some cases, married. Now, to be clear, when Mr. Johnson came over for Christmas, what that was about 9 years ago, he came after I had graduated from college. So at that point, I had my own place. He was still an undergrad, but we were, I was an adult, and so I was bringing, the man that would be my husband, and therefore it worked out. It all worked out. But at that time, it was very, up in the air. When I was an undergrad, when I was actually still in school, I didn't bring any boys. Um, over for the holidays. I didn't bring anyone over for the holidays actually. Part of that time I was still in the closet. Do y'all remember my story? So like, I came out Christmas Eve of 2012. I was a junior. I was 21 years old and it was Christmas Eve. So this is, if you're listening to this episode, this would be the 12-year anniversary. No, 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 not 12. 11-year anniversary. 11-year anniversary of me coming out to my family. Let's be clear. Some people listen, it's like 11 years. First of all, we're not doing that. First of all, we're going to keep it clear. I wrote a piece I wrote a long form story about this. It was called Three Outs. If you haven't heard of it or read it, it was an award winning piece, nominated, all that jazz. This came out like, I want to say 2018, Three Outs. And I talked about how I came out three times. I came out to myself, I came out to my friends and others around me. My family were the last group of people that I came out to. And the times are different back then, okay? So, like, that was a time where, and see, don't say, oh, we knew, we know. Listen, there are still people in this world that believe, let me not do that because I'm not trying to out people. But there are some people out here in the world that still want to hold on and believe that certain people in the world are just not gay. They'll just, it was the era of, I remember at that time, because remember, I'm taking y'all back to 2012. It's been a while. Okay. Gay marriage was not legal in all 50 states. It wasn't a constitutional Supreme Court, ruling Obergefell versus Hodges. It wasn't any of that. It was not, there was not, the level of, if you use the F word, and I'm not talking about the word fuck, I'm talking about the other F word. If you use that word, back then, people would be, it was kind of like now you use it, it's a problem. People treat it like using the N word, out of turn, of course. But that was a different world. The world we live in now, it's different. And in some ways it isn't, but in certain ways it is, right? So back then, the mindset was, if people thought you were, nobody wanted to assume, and they still was a connotation that if you assumed someone was gay, it was considered offensive, which is homophobic within itself. I always thought that was weird. Even now, right? And I see straight people, the straights, some of y'all, I gotta get y'all together. And we're going to talk more about this later on because, we're going to talk about it. And you know what it is. We're going to talk about that. But there's these weird moments where I wonder, as a queer person specifically, that in some of these moments of conversation about gay topics, people, queer things among straight people, it gets weird because I'm kind of like, you never know if they're laughing with you or laughing at you. Even people who mean well. It's like, what are you laughing at? And is that laughter like where is that where is your embrace? Is the only times you're talking about queer issues are only when there's scandals or suspicions. And I don't even like certain situations where I engage with straight people where they're like, "Oh, I figure," and they act like they know, and it's like, well, okay, it's one thing if you are very queer adjacent, where you have friends that are you are really you gonna fuck a motherfucker up for somebody. Like you're really about the cause. You have gay coworkers, friends, and you're out here really protecting and creating space for people. I can entertain the tea with you. But some of these people, I'm like, you don't have no gay friends in your real life. You really don't talk about gay things any of the time. But then when there's a conversation about power bottoms, here you are. There's so many, man, I wasn't going to go in that conversation. I'm holding restraint. Because I really want to say, I have so much to say about power bottoms and this topic and some of this. And I'm just like, it's interesting to me. I'll say this much. It's interesting to me how so many straight men will be like, oh, I don't care about that gay shit. I don't know this, I don't know that. But then the moment something gay comes up in media, oh, they got the most mouth. They got the most opinions. They want to know so much about it. I thought you didn't care about that gay shit. But again, these are homophobic folks. I mean, it's just, they just act like, oh my gosh, my ears. And I almost feel like it's a performance at this point. Like, oh, hearing something gay is like, oh, I don't want to hear that. Oh, let me cover my ears. It's so homophobic. Like, chill out. Chill out. Your ears not gonna fall off. Doth thou protest too much? I definitely think so. I think the immaturity is what I've gotten over. Is the immaturity around sexuality with grown men. Like I think when you was younger, there was a lack of exposure. But I think now, even culturally, I see young people become more understanding of it. They don't care about pronouns. They're like, if I have to say they, them, I'll say it. They don't fight over it. They don't fuss over it. They don't fuss over people, in their group that might be gay or whatever. It's not like a shocker as much to them. Like I look at my younger brother, I look at some of my friends who got kids and stuff. Like they don't even be pressed. The ones that be pressed the most be the grown ass folks. And I'm just like, you're uncomfortable. What happened, baby? I didn't take your man. Your man wasn't for you. He didn't want you. He wanted men, sweetie. Like we gotta let go of these hangups. Dude, no one turned your homeboy gay. Your homeboy been gay. You just didn't know how to accept it. And it's okay. Maybe it made you question aspects about yourself. And that's normal. But keep that to you. Work on that. That's a personal problem. That's not the world's problem. You gotta just tell people. And it's just interesting. But back to what I was saying. In that era, there was this thing of you assume if you thought someone was gay, you didn't press them on it. You just kind of felt like maybe you could be wrong. Or no one was gay until they confirmed it was gay, which was a way of, I guess, respecting boundaries. Or nobody wanted to assume it because if they did, they felt like it was disrespectful. Which again begets homophobia, because if you assume someone's gay, well, first of all, what's making you assume someone's gay? Let's just start there. Stereotypes. But then if you did, the presumption it was considered an offense. And I was like, well, why is it an offense? Why would it be offensive to assume something like that? Like, is it a bad thing? These are connotations, is what I'm getting at. Like these are connotations, and somehow these conversations always felt like it was an insult to someone's masculinity and manhood, which is also problematic because how come we're conflating homosexuality to manhood? Why are we still doing this? Again, people are telling a lot about themselves. I just don't understand. Like I think when like for example gay rumors, like if a person, let's say a person is married, they're straight, they're married to a woman, they're hetero, they're having a heteronormative relationship, and there's a rumor that they're gay. Is the rumor wrong because of the fact that it's homosexuality, or is it wrong because you're alluding that they're cheating on their spouse? That's the thing for me. Is the rumor of infidelity should be the issue there, not the rumor of the sexuality. And so people get offended. Like I've never heard anyone get offended for being assumed to be straight, because we treat heteronormity and heterosexuality as the default. And then anything that is and let me clarify what I'm about the default. We assume that out the womb people are out the womb are straight. We assume that people are out the womb, all of these things, and that somehow something taints them And that's so fucking offensive that, oh, they come in the world straight and then they get tainted and then become gay. Zap, zap, zap. And it's like, no, it doesn't work that way. It's a fluidity. It's a spectrum. People experience different things. People or whatever. Don't ask me when I knew, bitch. I just knew. Like, it's just what it was. I don't know. When did you know you were straight? You saw some music video you liked, you had a crush on a celebrity. That was my experience. That and I'm not saying everybody's experience is the same. Everybody has different spectrums. Some people evolve in experiences. Some people open themselves up to different things later in life. Everybody has a different range. My range is very different. I'm just a naturally organic gay. I wasn't someone who found out later or picked up on desires later. I was an organic gay. That's what I'll say. I'll say I was an organic gay. And there's no offense to inorganic gays. It's just, like organic straights and inorganic straights, or, people, it's all on a spectrum. It's all the spectrum. That's what I have to tell people. But I say all this to say we weren't at that place 11 years ago. And so when I came out to my family at 21, it wasn't so much about them, but more so about me. I had my own hangups on how it was going to be perceived. And I also felt like I was at a certain age, again, 21, where I felt like everything I did in my life owed an explanation. Now, looking in retrospect, I didn't owe an explanation for my sexuality. I didn't have to provide evidence. I didn't have to do any of that. But again, I was 21, so I felt like, okay, if I come out as 21, if I come out as gay now at this point, their attitude would be like, well, yeah, it's not a phase, because I heard these stories from friends of mine that came out younger. They would say their parents would say, "Oh, it's a phase. Don't say that," or okay, and then they would expect that this would change. I felt like 21 is the age where if you like men, it ain't no phase. It's just what it's gonna be, right? So I just felt like at coming out at 21 and being into college and deep into college in my adulthood in a certain way, that a lot of the preliminary questions I would have probably been asked if I would have came out young at a younger age would have not been the case. So by saying at 21, oh, I'm gay, no one was going to be like, are you sure? Is it a phase? How do you know? No one's going to ask those questions at 21, because at that point it's, it's like, well, they definitely know and there ain't nothing we can do about it, But it was just kind of it didn't have the shock factor that I thought it was going to be. I think it was kind of like everyone was like oh well, kind of like everybody wanted to be like, we knew, but also there was a level of, well, we sensed, but at the same time it wasn't our place to intrude. It was a very progressive liberalness take. I was thinking it was going to be shocker. You know why I thought it was? It's because, again, I was processing this through other friends' experiences. Listen, I heard all types of stories. People these are not good stories, some of them. Some of them were stories where they had family who was very educated, smart, all of the things. And then the moment they came out, it was a complete 180. Parents completely cut them off. People completely disassociated. They saw another side of their family never thought they would see. They didn't even know these people existed. You just never know. I've heard stories. I've been there for friends who have had complete 180s. They saw another side. So you never know. You never know. I mean, fortunately, that wasn't my story. That wasn't my experience. But I've learned not to be hard on myself for why I chose to do it the way I did it. Everybody has their own journey. And everybody has their own reasons for why they choose. But I say all that to say, I'll say this respectfully. I didn't waste nobody's time. I'm talking about emotionally. That was one thing about me. I was never a DL dude. I never was out here, wasting, dating women as a beard and playing them games. Never did that. Wasn't, first of all, I didn't have the energy to. Second, like, what am I doing? I just never had that investment in a facade. I felt like that was too much. I was just the one that was kind of like the asexual person, like kind of like a priest, but not a priest, like not like that, but it's kind of like Ernest is into books. He's not into sex. He's into books. He's into his studies. He doesn't have time to fuck around and frolic. He has to focus on, getting his degree. That was my, logic, compared to to others. Because some people, create their own, their own rationale in their head. They're like, oh, I'm gonna marry this woman, and then eventually, she'll come back, or or not she'll come back, but she'll be down, or we can have a situation understanding. I don't want to waste no one's time like that. I don't want to do that to myself. I don't want to do that to anybody else. Like, I don't want to have any special understandings with anybody. I think people who they have to do all that, that's just too much work. That's just way too much work. And so when I hear these types of stories, I'm just kind of like, is it really worth it? Is it really worth it? So those are some of the interesting things of that. But long to say, here I am years later. This year marks the 4-year anniversary of my engagement, because I got engaged on Christmas Eve. And so it'll be 4 years of engagement. I mean, 2 years married, 4 years since the engagement. Time goes by really fast. I was just talking to my friend Jeremy about this. Like, next year is our 10-year reunion at Penn. 10-year reunion. Like, 10 years post-undergrad? Like, what? A decade? A decade of stumping on you bitches? No, I'm joking. But it's really been like that long. I just, so soon, so soon. But this is what it is. But yeah, looking forward to Christmas. At first I was like, oh, I should say what Christmas gifts I got people, but then I realized you all listening will, y'all will tip. Because one person who, I don't know, one of y'all went and told Mr. Johnson something a while back about something I saw on the podcast about gifts or ideas I was doing. It never leaked all the way, but y'all be following the folks and be tipping them off. So now I can't drop hints, but these are all nice gifts, and I'll probably will share the gifts and tell more on the season 6 premiere. But I can't tell y'all anything now because y'all talk too much. But one thing, okay, so now here's a totally blonde moment. I won't say blonde because people are blonde, they're smart. But here's a random moment. I didn't know anything about these Stanley Cups. But y'all are hype about Stanley Cups. So this is really weird. I'm a little detached. So for a while, people kept talking about Stanley Cups. And I thought they were talking about hockey. I thought they were talking about like the Stanley Cup, like the actual Stanley Cup that you win in the hockey game. I didn't think they were talking about these beautiful, adorable ass mugs that no one told me about. And now I want one. And I mean, they're so cute. But the thing is, you know me, y'all. I want these things and I get them and I'm addicted. And then I'm like, okay, about a month later, I'm over them. But these are really nice. Okay, some of y'all looking like, where have you been, Ernest? Everybody wants these. But these Stanley Cups are like these big ass, like 40-ounce ones. They're really good. They stay hot for hours. They stay cold for hours. They are made in a way that you can put them in a compartment seat of a car, like a compartment, a cup compartment. They fit there, but they're still big at the top, and at the bottom they're a little lower, no pun intended. And they're with pretty designs and colors. They got a nice little straw, like a big old tall straw you could put in there that's reusable. It's real clean. It's a really pretty thing. It's you can wash it. It doesn't have any BPA. It's really nice. I've heard good things about these Stanley Cups, and now I'm like, damn, I didn't know this was the Stanley Cup people were talking about. But apparently this is a thing. The more you know. But yes, something that you all want to know, and again, this is me in my petty era. I'm only going to talk about this one good time, and I'm going to move on. But let me just say that there was a lot of cap. A lot of cap. A lot of cap. And I say this with my full chest. There is a lot of cap going on. So there is these holiday photos. And I know people are going to get in their feelings when I talk about this. But this is only for this podcast. And I'm going to say what I'm going to say. I'm going to keep it moving. So let me first off by saying there's a lot of people. Some of y'all, if y'all in the professional scene, my black professionals, y'all have seen, if you in the scene or at least connected adjacent, you done know somebody already that I went to the goddamn White House for this holiday party. Now, I'm trying to figure out, how does Biden, the First Lady, VP, Harris, Doug, all these people got all these resources to throw these holiday parties and invite everybody. Now, I didn't get an invitation. Let me tell you something. That's how y'all know I'm a real one, because I ain't been invited to the White House yet. They don't want me up in the White House, okay? See, I prefer the Black House, and I'm joking. But, I mean, I do like a Black House. But they don't invite me. See, this is how you know your fave is really with the shits, because they don't invite me to the White House. They say, listen, let me tell you about the governor's mansion. I slid the governor's mansion as a +1. I was not invited by the governor himself. I was a +1 that rolled up as a +1 again to the governor's mansion. Let me just let that be known to the streets. Okay, for whatever reason, I never get on the list. They never want to bring me out there. People be saying, "Oh, but Ernest, you so mainstream, you so this." You say, "Listen, listen. These governments, they don't want me in their buildings like that. They don't. They don't." So it's funny because I see all these people that ask me for favors all year round. People that be running around, just need something from me, calling me every week, which I have no problem with, okay? Because the check does clear and, the work does work. But they go over there and they show out and show up acting like they running the town. It's a lot of capping going on. I like to use that word cap because that just really fits it for me. Lie don't hit the same as cap. You say something cap, it's just something about that just hits differently than saying someone's lying. But there's a lot of people that get over here, get these little pods, get out here, get hype, all dressed up, putting on, scarves and stuff, getting wild, and they go to these White House parties, First Lady parties, and they taking pictures and posing, and I be looking like, and they coming from your city, so I'm talking about Philly specifically. They coming in, I'm like, not them acting like they the Philly insider, not them acting like they running this town, not them over here acting like they the one. Don't play. You know who to answer to. You better have my mug for me when you get back from DC. You better have my mug ready for me. You know who to answer to. You know what this is. Don't get it twisted. But some of them go over there, they get all fancy and get away, and they come back to Philly and be like, "Oh, I'm just a humble servant. I'm just a man in the community. I'm just shut the fuck up. You whatever." See, that's the one thing that annoys me. This is a habit we got to leave behind in 2023. All of this fake ass meek shit. Not talking about Meek Mill. I'm talking about people pretending to be meek. It's a performance. Like subtly downplaying all the shit they do, diminishing their accomplishments, trying to reduce it to stay low. Those are the most sus people to me. It's not the people that just be out here showcasing and profiling. Do your little thing. But the people that really be out here acting like what they do is not that big and being super, super modest and they doing big shit. Fuck that, you're sus. I look at you weird. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. You sitting around here with a whole doctrine. You're like, I'm doing a little bit of research. What you talking about a little bit? Shut the fuck up. I see what you're doing. You're playing low because you don't want no accountability. I have a theory. Now I'm in my theoretical mode. I have this really interesting theory about people that do this whole, they got these big boss positions, they got titles, they got real power, some influence, some of them are doing some major heavy kid. The ones that like to act super modest and super low key, quote unquote, they do that because they don't want to actually have to be accountable. See, I talked a little bit about this in my book, The Case for Council Culture, which is a lot of people's favorite reads this year. Thank you so much for the love on Goodreads. A lot of y'all were putting as one of your favorite books of 2023. Shout out to y'all. Love y'all. But in my book, I talk about this where powerful people, celebrities, and folks like that will oftentimes, try to break themselves down and act like they're just like you and I. And which I mean working class people, regular degular folks. And I think the reason why they do that is not because they really believe it, it's because of the fact that they don't want to have to be held to a level of accountability and responsibility that people like them should have. So it's funny how everybody wants the power, but then when it's time to be accountable for it, everybody wants to then play hot potato and say, well, no, it's you. It ain't adding up. The math ain't mathing. And so to me, if you're going to be a boss, be a fucking boss. Be a boss. This year was a year where I leaned into just recognizing I'm a boss. I'm a baller shot caller. I call some shots. I matter. I make an influence. I'm that bitch and I'm that dude. I'm all of the things. I'm not going to hide from it. Now, in some cases, I do have to, get real about what I can do and be realistic about this. I'm not saying I'm going to over embellish what I can do, but I'm not going to act like I can't do something. I do have an ability to make an impact. I can make a change. I am influential, right? These are not affirmations. These are confirmations. These are facts. And sometimes what happens is what you recognize that when you know you have a higher purpose and you have a responsibility, you're never going to deny that. And I think the problem is that a lot of people who try to low key what their responsibilities are, it's not because they don't know they don't have it. It's because they actually don't want to be accountable to it. See, people expect me as a journalist, as a person that has influence in media, to be able to speak truth to power. And God damn it, if I have the resources to and I can do it, that's what I'm going to do. Because at the end of the day, the money that I make, the opportunities that I get, the exposure that I get, isn't coming from out of nowhere. And so we got to stop with all this. Oh, these are just blessings on blessings. Yes, they're blessings, but they're actually things that you've been tasked to do, right? You've been given a promotion. Yes, it's a blessing. That's a beautiful thing, but you actually have a responsibility. Now that you have this promotion, now that you have this title, now that you've attained this degree, now that you have this many people you're responsible to and accountable to, you actually have to do your job at that point. It's not just a blessing, it's a mission. And I think too many people try to shy away from those responsibilities because, quite frankly, they don't want to deal with the task. Well, then don't ask for things then. Don't be ambitious then. Don't have any fucking goals then. Don't aspire to do anything. I know people in my world, right, that don't aspire to do much. They just be like, look, I'm just doing what I'm doing. I'm good at what I'm doing. I'm just going to stay here. It can't be me, can't relate. But the people around me, I know a lot of people that are also very ambitious and have goals and have aspirations for themselves. Cool, that's wonderful. But if you do have those things, you do have to expect more responsibilities and you do have some accountability to those things that you're asking of, especially if you're trying to be a community leader, if you're trying to be someone of global standing or international or regional standing. Like, you have some responsibilities. And I think this year is a theme in leadership. It has been a profile in courage. It's been a profile in leadership. And I've recognized what has kept me sustained, what has kept me, in spite of all the bullshit I dealt with this year and all the ups and the downs and the craziness. I think for me, it's been the reality of recognizing that at the end of the day, what I do is unique. And what I also do has a purpose. And quite frankly, as long as I stay the course on what those plans are, ain't nothing gonna stop me. And I think if you come into the mindset of what your purpose is and what you're gonna do, who gives a fuck about somebody else's opinion or whatever reservations? What you're set to do, you're gonna do. But you have to have the ability to have some self-accountability within yourself. You gotta look at yourself and say, look, did I choose this or did this choose me? When I look at all the things I chose to do this year, these were choices. I chose to be the president of a Black journalism organization. I didn't resign. I didn't quit. I didn't divorce myself of the responsibilities. I said, look, we're going head in with the helmet on, but we're going head in. I chose to be an author. I chose to write a book about cancel culture. I understood that was going to come with some lovely fanfare and I was going to come with some motherfuckers I was going to hate. Like, I knew that coming in. I leaned into it, but you know what? This is what I wanted. I wanted a book that was going to be a conversational starter. I wanted to have a moment. I wanted to have a book tour. I wanted to travel. So what am I doing? Complaining and venting. Look, it's natural to have your reservations. It's natural to have doubts. But at the same time, nobody wants the person that's going to always get something great and always going to find themselves worrying and bitching and complaining about it. No one wants to hear that all day. Get your accomplishments, be the fuck happy, have some fucking gratitude. And at the end of the day, shit is hard, but get the fuck up and show some gratefulness because you could have been worse than where you were 5 years ago. All the people I grow up with, all my friends, people I know that used to complain about the other things, it's like at some point the complaining has to evolve into something else. Yes, you can have a critique. Yes, you can complain about some things. Lord knows I do. But at the same time, beating yourself up and beating yourself to a drum, Cardi said, well, she said a lot of things in that song. But what I'm saying is that life is like a plum. You should eat it like it's a plum. And that's, I think, what she was trying to say. You should really, not beat yourself up. Like, one of my biggest things, my biggest pet peeves, and I realized that recently, is seeing people dump on themselves, like shit on themselves, like completely, well, physically and literally, but like really just, it's nothing. It's for me, it's nothing like seeing a person be super self-critical of themselves out loud. It's probably the most stressful thing to watch and to hear. I just it's painful for someone like myself because I'm a little highly confident, not cocky sometimes, but not but this, especially young people, they'll sit up and they'll just go in on themselves consistently. They'll just consistently go in on themselves and I'm just like, why do you how do you why do you think this way of yourself? It's hard to see that, and even people I know, I'm like, I will be somewhere and I'm at a point now where I sometimes have to stop folks. I'm just like, ooh, you're doing too much. You can't think that way. Don't think that way yourself. Like, what's going on? Like, and it's not that it's my job to be the healer or the counselor or whatever, but I just think what I would just tell all of you all on this episode and just in general is if you find yourself just really taking stabs at yourself, take a moment, just pause real quick before you say something crazy about yourself, or just regarding, like, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? What are we doing here? Take that moment. Just like, what are we doing here? Before you take another, punch or another jab or another thing. Like, take a moment and say, what are we doing here? What's happening right now? Yeah. Yeah. And I think what I'm recognizing is the nervousness and the fear of success for some people. The fear of, if I do this, how much more taxing is going to be. It shouldn't feel that way. There's something is here. What is it in your apparatus? What is it in the way that you're organizing your life or the way that you're planning things that's got you feeling like, you gotta, that you feel in disarray? It might be time to rearrange, some things. I don't think it's been a long time. It's been a long time personally. I think the last time I was really so self-critical of myself was when I was in college. And I felt like there was a moment, I think it was the year 2012. That was a revolutionary year. I think that's when I was like, it's time to come out. Cause I was like overthinking everything. And I was overthinking everything. And I just felt like I was doing too much calculation. I'm still a little calculated now, rightfully so, because I'm black and I'm gay and I'm in media, so I'm never going to not be calculated to some extent. But I was over calculating. Okay, I was like thinking too far ahead. I was just doing too much, and I was just like, this is not normal. And then I had to take a step back and say, well, where is this coming from? And I started looking at my environment. I was like, I'm around a lot of pre-professional students. I'm at Penn. Everybody's talking about jobs. Everyone's talking about, making the best of their degree. My career path was unconventional. And so I had a lot of things that was very different about my setup. And I was feeling inadequate or fearful of what this was going to translate to because of how different my passions were to others. And I had to just stop comparing myself. I had to get to a point where I was like, this is not healthy to compare myself in this way. I have to figure out a different way to go about this. And so I did. Um, but it takes time. It takes, some people, it requires, professional guidance. I always am going to I'm going to always recommend, you know, counseling, therapy for those. If you can get it, please, if that's what you need. I always do that. People listen to my podcast and say, oh, your show was so therapeutic. I am not a licensed therapist. I have a friend who is in psychology and tells me all the time, I promote seek professional help if needed. There's no shame in it. There's no fear in it. Get what you need to get for you, because you only got one life to live. My show can be therapeutic in an entertaining way, but it is not meant to diagnose or pre-diagnose you or do any of those things. Full disclaimer. Thank you, lawyer. So that's all I had to say. Be easy on yourself. Be easy. Be easy. Like they say in the club, when the club getting too wild, they tell the crowd, be easy, be easy. There's so much pandemonium. Be easy. Okay? Be easy on yourself. So, back to my conspiracy theory, not conspiracy theory. These pictures. Okay. So, I guess I went from philosophical to petty, but back to petty. So, these photos that everyone's been talking about, these White House photos. Now, there are people that went to the White House, and they went to the White House, right? But these Biden, these Kamala photos, y'all, they're not real. I am 100% able to say they're not real. A lot of people have been taking these photos with Kamala, with Doug, and these photos are not real. They did not take those photos with them. I have been able to nail it down. These are not real photos. Let me explain what I mean, okay? And they're going to hate me, but every year I get somebody who confirms it for me. And nobody wants to admit it because nobody wants to say they didn't take the pictures with them because then that blows up the entire excitement. Those photos are not real. First of all, I've seen about 3 images. And I'm going to tell you how I found it out. I always crack the case. And now I'm the Grinch who stole Christmas. Well, whatever. Make me whatever, bitch. I'm going to be honest. The thing about it is like, okay, you got the picture, you have 3 different holiday parties that took place 3 different times. And yet, the photos that I'm seeing with Biden and the First Lady, Dr. Jill Biden, it's a photo of Biden and he looks like he's turning over, like he's about to turn. You have Jill in that sparkly pink dress with all those little patterns on. It's a cute dress. They're posed next to each other, and all the photos are next to them. And everyone's taking the same exact photo. Now, here's what it is for me. How come you all went to the same party, and yet there's different photos? Let me clarify. The same outfits on the First Lady and the President, but everybody else have went to multiple parties. Biden could get away with it because he always wears a suit, right? You could say a Navy suit, red tie, of course. But let me tell you about women and women in the White House. Jill ain't wearing, okay, Jilly from Philly, y'all like to call her. There's only one Jilly from Philly, but whatever. She ain't wearing the same dress at a holiday party. She's not wearing the same dress at multiple holiday parties. She's not doing that because she's the First Lady. So what does that mean? That different people on different days went to different parties, but the same outfit is in the same photo. What that tells me is that these are Photoshop images. Y'all took the photos, they told you to pose, but they cropped it in a way for you to have it. And also, let me just add this, because this is how I know a real photo. See, I'm about to just bust the bubble for everybody today. It's COVID. COVID got a new strain. You think the president and the vice president and all of them gonna sit up and be around all y'all like that? I hear the vice president don't even like to go around nobody really. She don't even really be going around too many people because of she don't want to get COVID. They're not playing out here. People going to these parties, listen, they're not even about to play those games. They're not even about to play those games. The other gag is this other one. When I've seen the real photos, like when Kamala, Vice President Kamala, and of course the president comes. Now with labor, they will take the photos. But let me tell you about them photos. They will have them distance. They will have them distance apart. They won't even have them near the talent. Like they won't even have them near anybody. They will literally have them farther away from each other distance-wise. So like when Kamala came and took photos with certain groups in Philly, right? She would have a face mask on, face covering, and she would be distant. They would still take the photo, but there was like a space between them. And even in other photos I've seen her with, they would have them distant because they're not trying to get anything out here. They're not trying to get COVID. They're not trying to get anything. And so I doubt that during flu season at these holiday parties, they're taking pictures with all these people. Now, there are some people who are staff that might have the real photos, but I ain't seen no one get a photo where it just confirmed it for me. A shoulder or a touch, or it's just very much so cropped in a way. It's the way that they fuse the photo. The backgrounds are weird. I'm telling you, it's cap. And how I know it's cap, because some of the people I know, the older folks, now these are folks that I know that are grown ass people. They're not even fronting. They don't even try to take those type of pictures. They don't even play like that. They take the picture of them at the White House. They take video of Biden speaking. They'll take video of Kamala, the VP speaking. They'll do that, but they will never actually take any. They will never entertain the fake photos because it's just corny. But I've seen it. I've seen a lot of fake photos. I've seen a lot of cap, and nobody wants to admit it because nobody wants to ruin Santa Claus. I'm noticing a lot of that. But I'm looking at these photos, even the way they're cropped. I remember a lot, even the way they're behind the trees, the way that the photos and the lighting is, the way they have them tilted. I mean, it's a very great, design. But people love to, put on the facade. I'm just saying, I've seen it. I've seen it. And that's why they don't want me to come to the party. Because if I go to the party, I'm going to tell y'all the truth. But that's why I always have my insiders go. And they confirm. I was petty because last year when I had this theory, people was pissed off at me about it. And I said, you know what? I'm going to definitely have a friend. And one of my people went and they said, I'm going to find out. And they went and they did their research and they found out. They sent me the picture. And they said, this wasn't real. I said, I know it wasn't, but I love you. And I appreciate you for telling me. I appreciate you for confirming. You got integrity. But see, nobody wants to want to know, because if you tell it right, then everybody else's facade blows up. Because, oh my God, the elites are mad. The elites want to feel like they're more powerful. You're ruining their whole vibe, the whole flex to say they got a picture. No one wants to say it. And I remember some of the even White House staffers got in my DMs trying to fuck with me and tell me I was full of shit. If I was, why you didn't have to crack the code and get in my DM to let me know? Why are you so pressed? And why are you lying? You're a Democrat. Democrats don't. I'm joking. They do lie. They lie a lot. But it is what it is. I just don't like capping. But thanks for the mug, though. Appreciate it. So as you can see, this is going to be a very spicy finale, and that was just the beginning. So, getting into what's been going on in the world, the hot topics. What's been going on? Colorado Supreme Court has disqualified Trump. Now we want to see if the Supreme Court is going to overrule. Now, if the Supreme Court do overrule, Clarence Thomas, you got to go. You got to go. You have to recuse yourself, Clarence Thomas, who is, still there 30 years later. He's in the damn Supreme Court, still there. But, it's been a big deal. Okay, the Colorado top court said that Donald Trump, cannot appear on the state's ballot as a Republican presidential candidate, which now people are saying is going to go before the Supreme Court. 9 justices will once again take center stage in a presidential election. Now, you remember this happened in 2020, and not 2020, in 2000 with it was 5-4 dealing with George W. Bush. Where it was about to vote in Florida, we had to figure out, was he going to get on the ballot? Was he going to be the next president of the United States? You remember that election got really messy in 2000. It was recount. But a lot of people said, a number of legal experts said that the 6-3 conservative majority, they find it in a precarious position given the highly charged nature of this unprecedented case. Now, the Colorado court said, quote, now this is what they said. They said it had found, quote, clear and convincing evidence that President Trump engaged in insurrection. Now, that was during the time of the Capitol riot, and they said it disqualified him from running for president, signing an amendment to the U.S. Constitution. It's going to be a big damn deal. What does this mean? What can this be said? Have we ever seen something like this? I mean, it's a big deal. I mean, to be honest, if it goes to the Supreme Court, I could see the Supreme Court, I don't know. But the Supreme Court in Colorado ruled 4-3. They said he was not eligible. He was not eligible candidate because he had engaged in insurrection. But they said it does not stop him from running in other states. His campaign says it will appeal to the Supreme Court. They said it was completely flawed. Now, that's what his team is saying. Now, this ruling only mentions the primary election, which will be in Colorado on March 5th. That's when Republicans will be able to choose their preferred candidate for president then. This only impacts Colorado, by the way. This does not reflect the rest of the country. However, I wonder if other states and their Supreme Courts might try some similar things. We're going to see. But this is a pretty big damn deal. I've never, in our lives, never seen this before. Like a president getting disqualified on a ballot. Like, that's a big damn deal. So we're going to stay tuned. 2024, we're going to see what the Supreme Court going to do. 2024 going to be a big election year. Trump has been trumping. I'm hearing that Nikki Haley is showing up in the polls, which we knew was going to happen. But it's just interesting to see if Nikki Haley is going to give Trump a run for his money. Is she going to give him a run for his money? It's up for debate. I don't know. Anything can happen between now. It's just wild, right? Trump just is blown with legal fees. Giuliani caught up in his shit. We don't even talk about Giuliani enough. We keep sleeping on Giuliani, but like Giuliani out here, that boy ain't playing either. That boy is in some big shit. He's over here he's broke. He's been trying to get paying 2 slandered election workers millions. He slandered election workers. Okay? 2 of them. And he owes them millions of dollars. And now he's filed for bankruptcy. There's a lot going on. And we gotta stop. We gotta stop. It's a lot. Like, Giuliani's in trouble for lying. He has to file for bankruptcy playing these games. There's the other situation that just happened, across the board. Conservatives are getting hurt right now, right? It's hard to be conservative. The NRA is at rock bottom. There's a lot of tea. The Daily Beast did a story that just showed that this year, well, not this year, last year, 2022, based on tax filings, that the NRA's weakest fundraising was last year, and it's been the weakest they've had since 2018. That was 15 years ago. They're hitting rock bottom. The NRA, the National Rifle Association, they're losing. They're experiencing a public implosion. Okay, the group is losing members. There's been serious accusations of mismanagement and corruption. Their latest NRA tax returns has put them in a lot of damage. Okay, they're rolling. Okay, the organization damage is rolling on, quote, seemingly no end in sight. Who would ever thought that today that one of the biggest lobbying groups in America, the NRA, is going to potentially collapse? Now, one of my favorite people is Leticia James. Y'all know I love me some Leticia James. I love me some Leticia James. She has been very paramount. Okay, she's been very paramount and really shaking the table. She's been doing her thing. And so it's going to be interesting to see how they play out. It's been a lot of people who've been talking about whether or not she is, she wanted to run for governor. Now we see her doing what she's doing right now. And she's, it was a moment. People thought it was political. But we're going to see. But as far as NRA goes, I am keeping my ears glued to the tube. More about Biden. So Biden recently, did some pardons for federal marijuana possession, weed, right? That, this came out over the weekend on Friday, that Biden is issuing pardons to Americans convicted of certain federal marijuana crimes. People said that the government is advancing a stance on cannabis. But y'all know it's cap. Some of this is cap. Now, the experts say the pardons won't have as much of a broad impact, and a lot of people feel like there should be decriminalization, right? So he says that he is working to reform the criminal justice system to, quote, make the promise of equal justice a reality. But there's a lot of things that's interested with this, and it's just, it's look, it's good that he's doing some things, but here's what we need to know. So let me, because a lot of people then got excited, and people need to understand what happened. So last year he really did this though. He announced a proclamation in October of last year. This is in 2022, that he would pardon people convicted of simple possession under federal law. Now, Friday, he expands this is what he did on Friday. He expanded the types of crimes that people can be pardoned for to include attempted simple possession of marijuana and the use of marijuana on federal lands. But it does not apply to state level marijuana convictions. Okay? Let me say that again. This is the use of marijuana and possession on federal lands and in Washington, D.C. It does not apply to state level marijuana convictions. Okay? So apparently, this is another point. Anyone who was previously convicted of a relevant federal marijuana charge can apply to the Justice Department, and they will be issued a certificate of pardon, which the White House said should clear prior obstacles they faced in getting jobs and housing. So this is an issue because who does this help, right? I mean, it's limited because it does not apply to people convicted on state charges, which makes it the bulk of like drug cases. Like most people never get the federal, right? This is mostly people that get in trouble on state levels, right? Like in Pennsylvania, right? So when Biden had first moved to pardon people convicted of simple federal possession charges last year, nobody was eligible for release from federal prison as a result. Like, no one was eligible. Over 6,500 people nationwide may have been able to overcome obstacles to housing or jobs. Like, that's ridiculous. And then you got people in Pennsylvania, right? 50,000 people in Pennsylvania are charged with a similar offense. And that is annually. And then nationwide, right? If you're looking at legalization, over 500,000 people are being charged with some type of cannabis possession. It's a lot going on. It's a lot. And so here's, federal prosecution for weed possession is rare, which is why this is like a slap on the wrist. Listen, let me just keep it 100. Well, at first when I read this, I was like, ooh, progress. But then I had to remind myself that the White House is not out here doing anything that radical. So people who sell drugs, that have sold weed, this doesn't protect them. People who got state charges, like I said, this don't help them. This is only dealing with federal shit. I mean, how many people got federal charges for possessing weed? How many? I'll wait. So in other words, your cousin, this ain't gonna do shit for your cousin. It's not. It's not. And the hype around this and the enthusiasm, again, cap. This is that Josh Shapiro shit. This is the shit I be talking about, where they put out these signs, they act like they're making this real progress, and really it's a drop in the fucking bucket. There's no major thing, right? Deschedule. Have you ever heard that term? Deschedule. Like, declassify marijuana as like this major illegal substance. Possession is cool, but can we also talk about people who were selling back then? If we're going to decriminalize the drug, we also have to like decriminalize the individuals who sold it in retrospect. Like, if we're decriminalizing cannabis, like, are we even doing that with this? I don't even feel like we are. Like, this just has to stop. Like, I don't know why we're holding on to this. Like, why are we holding on to trying to criminalize cannabis in this type of way? I just feel like at this point, just let the people live. Let the people live. Like, put some ages on it and some gap. I mean, there's already people in parts of the, like, what you got Maryland, you got Jersey, you got people being able to purchase, edibles and cannabis now, recreational wise. Why are we doing this? I just believe in my lifetime, cannabis will be decriminalized. I just feel it in my soul. Don't know why they're taking forever to do this. This is just so. These are the things. These are the easy victories that like Biden can do to make like cover up. Like, okay, student loan, you didn't do that. You know, the Supreme Court, fucked that up. This could be easy. This could be an easy win. Like, this is what I mean by Democrats. They get this power and they never capitalize off of it. They never actually execute the things that they could easily do in their power. Moving on. More congressional sex. Apparently, as you all probably heard in The Advocate, a second gay congressional staffer was filmed having sex in the Capitol building. Now, this situation happened in the summer of 22, but the video was found and it showed basically a congressional staffer who was working for a Republican allegedly filmed himself performing sex acts with another man inside of the Capitol building. Now, this circulated on Snapchat from a user. Then they passed it on to another outlet named Semaphore, which reported on this. But they quietly investigated a separate sex tape scandal. Apparently, they did this like a while, but apparently this is a thing. Like, I guess, and again, this is gay sex. So I guess it's like putting the D in DC. Is it Dick Central? Is that what it is? It's not District of Columbia. It's Dick Central now. Like, DC is just out here dicking people down. Like, I'm just trying to understand why did this become a thing. I'm like, okay, DC, like, what is going on over there? It's just too much. I can't take. I really can't. But speaking of scandals in Congress, George Santos, right? George Santos, it came out in Yahoo News that in 1 week of being on Cameo, he's made more money 1 week on Cameo than he made his entire annual salary as a congressperson, which was $146,000 a year. This man is now made more than that in his first week on Cameo. When I told y'all that this was a grift, that George Santos was on a mission, that he was going to make more money in infamy than he did being not dispelled, that people playing these games. So let me see. I watched that Ziwi interview, which I thought was trash. I knew it was trash the moment it happened. He gagged her, he gooped her. And what I mean by that is that basically she does this interview, which her show got canceled by Showtime a couple, like earlier this year. Or after 2 seasons, they cut the show. And a lot of people were sad because she had a moment, right? She was somebody who was known for interviewing the more controversial figures of the internet or whatnot, and this is pop culture. But I often said that this shouldn't be an interview. Like, this George Santos thing should not happen. It's not a good look. Like, why are we doing this? It was cringy. It was a waste of time. It's obvious that she's trying to, figure out, trying to get relevant, trying to build back. She's trying to go back on TV. I don't know what she's trying to do. She's trying to get herself back. But she interviews George Santos. I'm just sitting here looking like, there's this one part in the interview where she says, what would it take for you to go away? And he says, stop inviting me to your gigs. Like, stop covering me. But you won't, because you can't, because you need the content. And so then she makes this joke and she's trying to be like, okay, so no Dance with the Stars, no RuPaul's Drag Race. Sweetheart, he's talking about you. He's saying you. Don't throw them under the bus. He's talking about people like you that's booking him, that's using him for the sole purpose of content. There was nothing we needed in that interview. George Santos is doing it because it's getting him money and he knows y'all can't get enough of him. And he said, rather than sit back and let y'all make jokes and while he suffered with court, he's raising money to pay off these lawsuits. He needs to get a lawyer. He needs money to pay for his legal fees. You all are funding the beast. You all are fueling the monster. And the rest of us didn't need the damn interview. You're forcing him on us. You know how like people try to force something? There are people in pop culture where I feel like for the life of me, y'all are forcing them on us. Y'all keep trying to force J-Lo on us. There was one point in time where we wanted J-Lo, but now we don't. We don't care. I mean, J-Lo can just be her and live her best life, but I feel like they forced J-Lo on us. I feel like they forced Tiffany Haddish on us. Nobody's asking for Tiffany Haddish to host anything. Nobody wants Tiffany Haddish on any fucking thing. I want Tiffany Haddish in rehab for real, for real. I need her to stop drinking behind the wheel. This DUI is ridiculous. I don't want no more of Tiffany Haddish. Like, scootaloo, toodaloo. Like, don't force her on us. I feel like they forced Jason Lee on us. Nobody wants Jason Lee. Stop forcing him on us, celebrities. Go talk to real journalists and do interviews with real music entertainers and people that know how to cover this shit. And then stop entertaining the gossip, right? Like, I feel like they force people on us. I feel like the industry forced certain people on us to make us, it's like they got their new guinea pig. Like, I remember at one point they were forcing Rita Ora on us. Like, nobody wants Rita Ora. Nobody wants Rita Ora. I mean, not us in this type of way. I just feel like there's certain celebrities where it's like every time I turn around, this person is like showing up. Who asked for them? Like, I feel like that. I feel like Kylie Jenner is forced on us. Like, who's right? I mean, just these are the moments. These are the moments when I take a step back and I'm just like, who's asking for this? And if you don't know the answer, that's part of the problem. So, I don't know. I'm just tired of George Santos. I know he's got the trial next year. He's gonna turn that into another salacious opportunity. But like at this point, we're all tired. We're exhausted. We're exhausted. We don't need no more of this. We don't need no more of this, in my opinion. So, Mayor-elect Sherelle Parker, she's going to have her inauguration on January 2nd. That's on a Tuesday. She has announced her cabinet. I thought her chief of staff was going to be Sinceri Harris, but Sinceri is going to be a deputy mayor. Aaron Platt, who has been a long time advisor, is going to be deputy mayor. She's kept some of her finance team. There's a woman named Tiffany who's worked with her for a long time that's actually going to be the chief of staff, which makes a lot of sense now in retrospect. She's kept a lot of her team. She's kept some of Kenny's people, not too many, but has gotten a new solicitor general who is going to be, I believe, the first queer person in that position or in that role. I mean, she's got a finance, a commerce chair. She's got a lot of historical firsts. She's put 2 Latino women in these major positions. Now, a lot of people was trying to figure out, well, where is Derek Green going to fit in this? And where is Maria Quinones Sanchez going to fit in this? Because we all know that the rumor from day one was that they were going to get a cabinet position. But this has not come out yet. They're slowly but surely taking their little pretty time. We want to know, where is Derek Green going? Now, Derek Green, he may not be working in administration. He may actually really like being private practice, being low key. Is he planning to run for DA? Are we going to see a DA Derek one day? Who knows? But I feel like we're not done with Derek Green just yet. Maria Quinones Sanchez, I definitely could see her, in some position. I just do. We're going to see, though. We haven't seen all the cabinet positions just yet, but there's already been some historic moments thus far in these appointments, but there's still more to go. So we'll see. Speaking of news, so this just came out. Kendall Stevens. Now, this is a woman who is a Black trans woman. She was described in the media as a prominent LGBTQ activist and voice. She served on the DA's advisory, LGBTQ advisory council or group. And she has been charged by the AG's office, actually, the state AG's office, for sexually abusing 2 children under the age of 13. It's very disturbing that the allegations, the stories, all been all over the media. People have been asking me, what do I have to say about this? What I think about this? And I gotta be real with y'all. It gets exhausting sometimes and annoying sometimes that people expect you to have to talk about every single thing, cover every single thing, and quite frankly, I've just learned like everything I ain't trying to speak on. In this regard, I am going to talk about it a little bit. But I get, listen, I'm going to just reiterate this just in case y'all done forgot. I set the agenda don't set me. And what I mean is that the topics I choose to talk about on my show are the things that I feel comfortably versed in speaking about and things I actually enjoy talking about. And when you hear me talk about certain topics, you can tell, like, oh, he got a lot of thought into this. Yes, because every topic I choose, I don't want to be just bored. I don't want to be quick, or I don't want to just, not have anything to say. Because what's the point of having a podcast if you're just going to be, on to the next, blah, 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 blah. No, you actually want to tell stories. You want to, I'm here. I am teaching Joe Biden how to have a podcast. I just feel like, you want to have content and things you want to discuss that are interesting, that you can speak in depth about, that you can provide context to and educate and inform. That's not going to be every topic, and that's why there's other podcasts to listen to. I mean, my podcast is clearly, top tier, but it's not, I shouldn't be the end all be all. You should listen to various things and also do your own reading. And the thing that annoys me sometimes when people say, well, no one's talking about this. Well, how the fuck did you know about it? Unless it's about you, right? But how did you know about it? Clearly, somebody had to say it if you knew about it. Like, no one's talking about it, but then you're sending me articles. So maybe people are not talking about it around you. Or maybe you're saying no one's reporting on it. I think that's the biggest pet peeve as a journalist. The biggest pet peeve for a journalist is to hear people say, no one's talking about it. You should do this because no one's writing about it. No one's saying anything about it. But then the question becomes, well, then how did you know about it? And then the thing that you're talking about has tons of articles. But you just are trying to say basically you want people to make a big deal. So stop telling me I didn't do my job. You just want what? You want me to do what? Like, I just don't know. So I get annoyed sometimes when I get hit with stuff like that. But let me tell you about Kendall Stevens. So I know of her. I knew her. I knew of her many years ago, and I've never spoken to this woman since, and I've actually kept my distance from her. For a whole separate matter. I didn't know anything about this incident. My thoughts and prayers go out to this family who's been impacted by this. The aunt of the two children spoke to Fox 29 earlier in the past week and did an interview and talked about detailed about how these young individuals reached out. These two young boys had they talked to them separately. The stories corroborated that they were scared, that allegedly Kendall did not deny doing it, and even tried to suggest that they made moves onto her, which is disturbing. They're children. It's a very bizarre, horrifying situation, and I hope that they get dealt with and justice is served. That's just how I feel about them and that. But I want to tell you about when I knew Kendall was full of shit. Now, in the 2020, this was during the pandemic, there was that big story that a lot of people ran on. And there was a story about a black trans woman who lived in Point Breeze, and that a group of people bust in the house and beat them up, and it was a hate crime. And I remember the DA Krasner had made a big old case about investigating it, and it was all over the internet, and everyone was talking about in Philadelphia that this mob of these people came and attacked this trans woman, and that woman at the time was Kendall Stevens. And I remember when that happened, and it was a video footage and all this, and I just remember to myself thinking, like, all of these people, why would they do that? I never got to the bottom of what exactly happened. What I do know is that the person who got injured, who got hit, who got charged, there was only one person that got charged for this, got arrested. Everybody else couldn't be identified, but the one person, her name was Tamisha, and I want to get the last name correct, but it was terrible. And she was a black woman, and she admitted to getting in this fight, but there was something, it was this. I want to make sure I say her name right, because this was just a horrible situation, and I was very upset about what happened. So this woman, who, dealt with this incident, I remember like it happened. This woman was, Her name is Tamisha. Her name was Tamisha Waring. Tamisha Waring was her name. Um, Tamisha Warrington was the woman. And this happened back in 2020. Tamisha Warrington got arrested. They tried to make her do a plea deal. She fought against it. She basically said she was acting in self-defense when getting to this fight with Kendall. But the way they framed it was they tried to force her to take a plea. They wanted her to do some level of jail time. She fought against it. And in many ways, people felt like this woman was, in the community, some people in the community who recognized what was happening, she was falsely imprisoned. That she got made the face, the poster, became the poster child of something that really wasn't her, wasn't what she was trying to do. She did not attack this woman because she was trans. She attacked this woman because apparently they had an argument that involved another child. And they got into a physical altercation. And this never got talked about in the media, the press. A lot of people never really spoke about it. I know close friends who spoke to Tamisha directly, this woman, and she spent time in jail. And I remember not feeling okay about that. Like, this isn't why. Like, this was not the hate crime. Like, the way that this is being narrated as such, that this wasn't what happened. And it never sat well with me, to be honest. And I remember she created a GoFundMe, Kendall did, and she got like thousands upon thousands. She got like over $80,000, I believe. And I remember I started going on social media at the time, and I was saying to people like, there's this story about her being attacked. Y'all, as somebody who covers hate crimes, have covered this stuff, I'm in the community, I know this story is not adding up. There's missing details, and I just feel like we got to be mindful when we politicize these things. Oh, they told me to shut up. Oh, they were like, they tried to call me transphobic, which was bullshit. They tried to, say that I was being anti-black woman, all of the things, but no one was actually trying to challenge the facts of what I was bringing to the table. And what was interesting was that, and this is something that I know to be true, she tried to bribe black and brown people in the community with that money she was getting off that GoFundMe. She was trying to give money to certain groups and people to build character, to build a support. Like, she wanted people to like her, and she wanted people to talk her up because people were starting to look at her sus based after some of the things that I was saying. And there were people that did take that money. Some people did take that money and came out and supported her. She was trying to give money to certain nonprofits in the neighborhood. It was just really weird. And she was really trying to make herself like this humanitarian. It was just like, you got all this money off of Cash App. This story went national. You could not Cash App. This GoFundMe. You made thousands upon thousands of dollars. Next thing you know, she's being plastered everywhere. She becomes like the it girl. And this is the thing about the neighborhood in Philadelphia. There has been this almost like this disposability of black trans women in the scene. Like, every year they pick a trans woman that they like, and then they prop them up, especially a black trans woman. Like, they'll get a trans woman, position her with a title, prop her up, make her the only one, and give her all this attention. And then eventually they move on. The next year they prop someone else new up, and they discard these people. Either these people fall out of grace or fall out of attention, they make a mistake, or they just lose their popularity, or whatever the case is, and they recycle it. And I noticed that was happening in the neighborhood. Not just with trans people, even gay people. I saw every year they pick a gay, and this is with LGBTQ people of color, right? They'll pick their token gay person they want to prop up, the one they like that year. And then they'll say, okay, we want to do another one. We want to get someone else that we like. I chose not to play in those games. They never liked me because I was also covering racism in the neighborhood. So they didn't like me because I was covering the racism that was happening in the neighborhood. They didn't like that. So every time I turn around, there was always a new gay. There was always a new person that they wanted to prop up every single time. They always wanted to put a new person there. Malcolm Kenyatta was one. Alex Deering was one year. The new person at Mazzoni had a year. But every year they would find a favorite token black gay man that they wanted to put up and idol and obsess over and fetish over, whatever the case is. And they do this every year. And everyone normalizes it. The whites don't have these problems. But they would do this with black gay men. They would do this with trans women of color. Every year there was a new flavor of the year or whatever they would fetishize. And they would move on. They would just get another one and another one and another one. And they would put them in these positions, give them these awards that don't mean anything. And just really just, do this, tokenizing. And I've seen it. I've seen it every year. Every year I would see it. And it was disgusting. It was disgusting. And it was frustrating to see. So take it for what it's worth. Right now she apparently has a lawyer, Kendall Stevens. I think she has a lawyer, but she's not speaking to anyone at this time. She's, denying, I guess she's denying the allegations. I believe the children. I'm going to let the courts do what the courts do. And that's that on that. 76ers arena. This is hard. It's not hard because I know where I stand on it. I don't support the arena. And this is nothing new. But what's been really sad, and what I've witnessed and what's been really hard, right, is that there was a big 6-hour hearing on the arena. And everything, right? All of these city planners, people, congestion folks, nobody had anything nice to say about the arena. Everything that's come out about it is just that, listen, if this arena is too small to meet the capacity required to do what they're trying to do, that in order to adjust the traffic, they would have to close off certain streets and intersections in advance to make way for this to happen. That this will be a logistical fuck up. That this would be structurally difficult. That there will be a lot of other things that will have to shut off and close down. That you couldn't actually have the businesses around to thrive because they would have to make sure that there's room for the capacity of a game. This is going to be a shit show. We all knew this. But now it's being said on the record. The fucking impact study has not come out yet. We don't know when it's going to come out. But to be honest with y'all, it's a wrap. It's a wrap. Fashion district people, the owners of that didn't file for bankruptcy. We knew that was going to come. But this 76 arena, it cannot happen. It cannot happen. It logistically cannot work. It will not work. It does not have the ability to. You're going to ruin a neighborhood, right? You're going to kill Chinatown. But then also on that, you're going to also kill Chinatown and then create the death of any level of civility that would actually work in Center City behind this stupid arena. There's the logistical aspects of this makes no sense. It's being told to us. We all know we're in a position now, thanks to social media, thanks to widespread distribution of information, that now we all know what is wrong with this damn concept. It's not feasible. It can't happen. It makes no fucking sense. And the reality is that too many people don't want to believe that because at the end of the day, they just want what they want. But sometimes in life, you just have to just move on. Sometimes in life, you just have to just accept things the way that they are. And in this situation, it's just not enough information that could convince me to support this. Now, I didn't support it already, but I told you all that there was a lot of things that was wrong. And I kept saying to people that what I'm hearing in these hearings is that this does not look like it's going to be a good thing. But people didn't want to hear that because people want to think about, well, what about the businesses? What about the businesses? What about the businesses? Listen, the city planning staff testified at the Civic Design Review that 10th and 11th streets would have to be closed before and after every event for crowd control. So this suggests that the site isn't big enough for this use. The site isn't big enough. It's not. 10th Street is a major access route for Jefferson Trauma Center. It also provides access for 3 nearby garages. How is that going to be managed? There are also buses that travel on 10th and 11th. Will they be detoured? Now, this is Igra Saffron from the Inquirer, who talks about, architecture all the time. She's an architecture critic, but she, talks about how Sixers designers rightfully critique the FD Mall, the Fashion District Mall, for being a super block with poor permeability and little activity on Market Street. This is true. But why is their solution to create a bigger super block with fewer retail spaces? I mean, if you ride the 45th and the 23rd, you're fucked. It's going to be a problem. It's going to be a problem. It's just not happening. It's not happening. People are having their reservations. People are not feeling it. It's not. I just don't see it happening. However, given that Philly politics are usual, this will happen possibly. I still think they're going to move forward, and it's not going to be because of common sense, but because of politics. I don't know how Sherelle Parker, as mayor, are going to act, but what we know from research is that a lot of the 76er arena folks, the lobbyists, they have been really pushing a lot of money. They push a lot of money into their campaign. The buildings trades, they want it. And they've really been pushing and campaigning this. I feel like they want the pressure to be on them. I think they really want it to be on them. I think they're going to put it on her to do it. I think that she's going to do it because the interests. It's going to be interesting. But I predict they're still going to move forward with this, sadly, because I don't know. I feel like politics is just going to trump the people. I could be wrong, and I hope I am wrong. But I think they're just going to move through with it because there's too much politicalness involved. There's too much lobbying. There's too much money involved that they're going to not care, and they're going to make it somebody else's problem. So that's my thoughts on that. I could be wrong, but I don't see it. I feel like the attitude with them is like, so what? Jobs. But what kind of jobs, right? Construction jobs. What? I'm going to let them be. But it'd be unfortunate if it do happen. I hope it don't. I really don't. I really hope that the arena does not happen. I really do. So, on to this topic around power bottoms. There was a salacious rumors, accusations, innuendo, claiming that a certain minister was accused, a popular televised minister, was accused of being a, quote, power bottom at alleged sex parties that involves, Diddy. These are all allegations. None of them have been backed with substantial information and things of that nature. I'm talking about this not because of the fact that I am entertaining or believing any of the things that have been said about Mr. T.D. Jakes. I have little to no interest in verifying or validity or any of that. It's not even about the actual allegations itself, because what that man, who he is and who he isn't, whether the TD and TD Jake stands for take, listen, I don't know. That's not why we're talking about this. But what came out of this was this pronounced interest in the topic of being a power bottom, because the reference was that he was a power bottom. And so for people in the queer community that understand sex, we understand what a power bottom is. I will say this. I never thought that we would get to this point in the podcast. 150 episodes, and we are talking about this. We've arrived at this point where somebody wants to know what's a top and what's a bottom, and what's a power bottom, and what's a... Listen, what I will say is that, in our cultural zeitgeist of language, A top is a person that penetrates, and a bottom is a person that, gets pleasured by the penetration. Now, a power bottom, by definition, is someone who extremely enjoys the penetration, so much that they can be allowed to do various things in such a position, in such a role. They love the submissive. They're completely submissive. They are completely and utterly into it. They might do it multiple times in a day with multiple girths. The girths doesn't matter in these situations. I'm saying this in a way with a level of sophistication. Girth has no role in mattering to them. They are just all invested in the pleasure of it all. Now, they have accused, asserted televised evangelist of being someone of this stature. Personally, I don't believe it. I personally don't believe it. I don't. I don't, I do not believe. Well, I don't know. Is the answer is I don't believe this, or is the answer, look, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if he is or isn't. That's not my point. But what I will say, respectfully, is that I've never have had this many straight people in their natural lives ask me what a power bottom is. To me, it's interesting because I've seen a lot of straight people get on the internet and they're loving this gay shit. The same ones that will say, oh, I don't care about this gay shit. I don't care about what people do in their business. I don't care. You do care. You care how we fuck. You care how we have sex. You are obsessed with what we do in our bedrooms. And you know what? You probably think we do it better than you. We probably do, actually. Here's my thing. I have just, I wanted to bring this up earlier, but I'm talking about it now because now I feel like this is the point. It's not fun culturally. It's you know what it reminds me of? Living in a society, and this is the best way to describe it because it's almost the same thing. Living in a society where you know that there is massive inequity, right? That people hate black people but love black things. That they will call us ghetto. They will, shame us for how we eat, how we talk, how we move, how we do. But then they will emulate our the way we speak, the way we do all of those things. They will emulate it and copy it and find it amusing. And the funny thing to me is, what does it feel like to be in that society? And I feel like I know what that's like as a black queer person, because it's both. What does it feel like to live in a world where you have tons of people that love to say the word, ooh, you throwing shade, and yes, and you better work, and use all of our lingo and embrace all of our shit, love fucking Renaissance, and love all the fans, and love all our lingo, but don't like a single gay person, or don't want to be around gay people in real life, don't want to actually embrace, support, and protect us as a people, don't give a damn about any of the things that happen. And so I've seen so many straight people when I talk about TD Jakes in this way, internally with my fellow gay folks, we are having a ball, laughing and teasing and joking, and we think it's funny. We don't take any of this seriously. We don't care if he is, if he isn't. If he isn't, it isn't. It's a joke. It's funny to us. But the straights, oh no, contraire, my good friends. You all want to get to the bottom of it. No pun intended. You all really want to figure out if this is the case. And also your obsession with not knowing something and then using the word for everything. You all do that with every fucking word. Everything is a yes. No, not everything is a yes. Everything is not slang. Some things are actually fucking flopping, okay? You just can't say everything is a sleigh. I remember one time I went out somewhere with a regular ass sweater on. This girl was like, you better work. That's a sleigh. No, it the fuck isn't, girl. This is a plain ass sweater. I'm just trying to go to the store. Stop it. Sometimes you just you ruin things. But this is the same thing that we see white people do black people with our culture, right? They'll be like, this is woke. No, it's not. No, it's not woke. And you're not woke. And stop saying the word woke. You don't know what the fuck you're saying. Cut it the fuck out. This is what I mean. These are the things. It's just a lot of things being hijacked. And a good girlfriend of mine, she's got a really good Instagram page called The Reclaimed. She talks about gatekeeping. Now, this started with my good Judy, not good Judy, well, Van Lathan, who I really am a big fan of. I love him. He's a really great podcast. There's a show called Higher Learning, and his co-host, her name is Rachel. He talked about gatekeeping. He talks about the importance of how black people need to gatekeep our culture, and that we have put a shaming on the word gatekeeping. First of all, y'all have taken gatekeeping, these words oh my God, this year was a year of people just using everything was being gaslighted, everything was love bombing, everything was everything. Like, stop it. So let me clarify gatekeeping in two ways. Gatekeeping in a negative, pejorative way is when we talk about particularly people in a professional work setting icing out other people from getting certain opportunities. Okay, that's what gatekeeping is in a pejorative way. So if we said something like, okay, there is a job opening for writers, right? And you are somebody in the industry. Now you somebody that wanna you're supposed to be, people supposed to give, you want to increase the culture. You know about certain opportunities in the industry and you're not sharing this knowledge to other people. You're the only one, you're the only person, the token black person that's applying, and you're not sharing your resources to the community. You're not telling people of other opportunities to better themselves. And you're basically gatekeeping these things because you only want to operate in scarcity. You have a scarcity mindset. You're somebody that only wants to, it can go with any group. Women that don't tell other women about promotion opportunities and gigs, right? There are women that will gatekeep opportunities only for themselves because they're afraid to compete. They're afraid of it. But the reality is, the irony of gatekeeping in that sense is that people that do this, they say to themselves, of course I'm doing that because I ain't had that much competition. What you fail to realize is that you'll get it, right? But then you'll be the only one. And then you'll be the only one next year, and the year after that, and the year after that. And at some point, people got to start. And see, this is what I tell people about Philly politics, right? And opportunities. Isn't it weird to you that we find ourselves in situations where we see these black folks in these higher up positions, right? And they're consistently are the only one that for whatever reason, we don't ever see an elevation or an increased presence of other people getting accolade or recognition or inclusion or whatever in whatever they're doing. I'm not going to name names. Last week, y'all tried to get me in trouble. But there are a lot of people out here where I look at them and they're always the only ones. The only ones, just out here, they find themselves never in a position to do anything, to write any checks, to give any benefits to any other black and brown people. There are certain people that are working at places like Wells Fargo. I'm going to go there. Let me go there. I'm not going to name a name. Remember, this is we're going to do this every episode, right? But this is the finale, so I'm going to show my ass. But, there'll be people in positions, right, at places like Wells Fargo. And they like I call them the chicken dinner people. They go to the chicken dinners. They eat the food. They take the pictures. They talk about their culture. They get on panels and talk about DEI all the fucking time. They go to the Lowe's and have the chicken dinners. They go to all the places and have the chicken dinners. And they take tons of pictures of themselves wearing nice gowns, beautiful, gorgeous gowns. And they take their pictures. And they, will flaunt with, they do a lot of things, right? But then you start asking yourself, what do you actually fucking do? Like, okay, granted, you are, this person that is the VP of some type of position of giving, and you're at some foundation, or you can give money of impact, or whatever the title they give you, right, to keep you there. But then the question becomes, well, what do you actually do? And why is it that you're always giving the same amount of money to the same groups every year? And how is it that when people come up to you, you look at them like they have COVID, and you're like, don't ask me for anything. And it's like, whoa. Now, that didn't happen to me personally, but this is the person's reputation. Could you imagine? Like, they just, they're just in this position. And the only people they might be helping is like a close friend or two that they want to call their mentees. But it's very insular. Randomly, I love Tiffany and Company stuff. I just wanted to say, Tiffany's is a really great company. I know there's people named Tiffany in the world randomly, but just random, just being random. But I get to the point where you start seeing certain people, you're just like, how does they increase capacity? Just how do they increase capacity? I'm not saying I have any expectations for any of these people doing anything, but understand when you look at certain folks that walk around with these titles around impact and this and this and this, they talk a good game. Where is the actual giving? Or are they just happy to be the one in a position? They think that their representation is somehow going to change things. Listen, I got overrepresentation as its own standalone impact for fucking years. I check off multiple boxes, but let me tell you something. Every single place I go, you can't tell me you can't see the impact. Every place. Every place. I don't believe in gatekeeping. I don't believe in gatekeeping because of the fact that for me, I realize that we're stronger together. If you are the only one that's in that is being celebrated, that's recognized. I have given out more awards this year than I've ever received. There's a reason. Because I always told myself that that's the way you measure it. Like, I have a bunch of fucking awards. So you know that when I say that, I have given out more awards than I've received. That was always my goal. If I'm not giving out more than I'm receiving, then there's a problem. I have made it a point that in all of the work I've done, any opportunity I've had to advocate for Black and brown people, queer people, and young people in any capacity, whether I had influence on any list or anything I could influence, I was gonna fucking influence it. And you was gonna feel my touch on it. You was gonna look at something and say, yep, this is a Millie beat. No, this is an Ernest production. Like, you can tell I had some role in it. There are some people out here in positions, and I'm like, you're sitting on the chair of this, you're on the board of this, you're on this and this and this. How come I don't feel it? I don't see it. And they act like, well, I can't do it alone. You're full of shit. Because I've been in some of the same roles. I've been in the same rooms. And I was able to shake a table and get some shit the fuck done. Are you just sitting there to say you're there, or are you actually talking at the table? There's a lot of people that like to front on these panels and do a lot of capping. This is the year of where we end capping. I want to ban all caps across the country. We see a lot of people out here capping. We're in a society now where there's a lot of people that get up on these pedestals and these mics and tell these stories. And you know what's so funny with the fraudulence of it all? These people will sit up and go to these events, take these pictures, front and fake like they just out here just so whatever, right? And then don't you notice, like, every 3 months or 6 months, they'll put some depression post up and they'll talk about how much they hate their life or how much they've been going through a struggle. You'd be like, so you've been capping the entire time. And I wonder why you're stressed. And I wonder why you're pissed. Because there could be a lot of reasons why, right? But part of it could be is that the burden of carrying all of that fucking responsibility and all of that microaggressions on you to the Black and brown people in our communities that like to be the only one. What a burden and stress it is. I could never. I come into a place, I'm looking for new people. I'm looking for something different. I'm looking to bring new people to the fold. I'm looking to celebrate and spotlight different folks that I feel like should get recognized. I just never come into a space thinking like, oh my God, I gotta be the only one. I gotta be the, if I share this life, if I shout this person out, that's into what I got going on. If it's for me, it's for fucking me. I have learned that no matter how many, what's crazy? I have been this year more giving and more generous and more outward of my time. And I have found myself to be even more successful, even stronger. I think that we just have to really believe in our abilities, to trust that our own unique talents is really there. That we really don't have to be somewhere hidden in the dark and closed off. That we really could actually build capacity and respect by being the degenerate queen, asks Miss Ellen. Well, don't ask her anymore now. That's a rap lyric to a song. We don't ask Ellen for anything. But, I'm saying that there is so much benefit. And when I look at some of the people that I look up to in the industry, whether they're in media, whatever, the ones that have been the most relevant have been the ones that have been the most pouring and giving to others. Like, I think about a lot of my mentors in the industry, and I'm like, what they've done, they all have in common, from Oprah to Patty Jackson to Yuki Washington. I think about some of these people, I'm like, they are very big at, one, they know how good they are. They know how important they do. They take what they do seriously. That's the first thing. I really have learned to take what I do seriously and have no shame about it. 2, they recognize their influence, their impact. They know that what they're going to do is going to make a difference. And 3, they are always in this place of abundance. They pour into people just as much as people pour into them. It is almost like a well and a fountain that consistently replenishes itself. Like as they've never went for out. I don't know I don't like they've never not had a gig or an opportunity. And part of this is because they pour so much into other people, but they get the love back. And that has been my success story for a while now. Like I'm like, I really be out here advocating and busting for people. I really do. And I don't regret, I love it. But the beautiful thing about doing that is that I never have to wonder or go to bed at night and worry about anything. Like I never be like, oh my God, like, oh, am I gonna have a job tomorrow? I'm gonna have this opportunity. What if I lose it all? I never worry. I really don't, because I just really believe that I'm in a universe, in the space that consistently replenishes me because I've replenished others. Sometimes certain things don't be as reciprocal. Sometimes people take advantage. But the greater good, and the vast majority of the time, it's been replenishing. And so that is just something I've thought about when it comes to this gatekeeping conversation. Now, because I didn't digress, or maybe I didn't. That's a different conversation on gatekeeping. When we're talking about cultural gatekeeping, yes, Black people, it's time. Queer people, it's time for us to gatekeep our shit. Not everything is for everybody. No, you cannot always come to the cookout. No, you cannot always sit with us. No, you cannot always vogue with us. Some things are just not for you, and that's okay. Some places, it's important to gatekeep certain things to provide a safe space without any explanation, a safe place for people not to have to be educated on something, a place for people to be at peace. Now, I'm not a segregationist, but there are some opportunities and times where I want to be the fuck with my people. There's some times where, like, look, I have white friends, I got all types of friends, right? There are times when I have functions and I just need to be with Black people. I just want to be with my people. I just want to be with my people. There's certain things I want to say that I don't feel comfortable saying around white people. And I just don't want to be I want to say certain stuff a certain type of way. Sometimes with my gay friends, like the Lip Brothers. The Lip Brothers is a gatekeeping mechanism. We don't want, no, there'll be no lit sisters. No, there'll be no, I don't know, straight people being a part. No, it is literally a group of 4 Black queer men that specifically have a bond, and we do things together. We go out, we drink, we eat, we party, and we have great conversations that make sense for fucking us. And I don't got time to explain to somebody what a power bottom is, or what a butch queen is, or what a verse top is. See, these are probably terms some of y'all don't even know, and that's okay. But this is what I mean. There's just certain things that I don't want to have to talk about or have to clarify. I look at my life, and as a Black queer person in society, I share so much of my space in a society that wants to be, integrated. And integration in certain cases are good. But there are times where in all of that, I definitely want my time. I want my time with my people, whether that's Black people or Black queer people. But there are times when I just want my fucking space. And I think this year was a year where I was unapologetic about that, because in the past years, I was always over accommodating. I was always trying to fit people in and things. And I'm not saying that I don't want to have I have a diverse friend group, but there are times where specificity matters. And I felt like this year was a year where specificity made all the difference in how I was able to process experiences, how I was able to, motivate myself, how I was able to express myself. I felt like so many things in the past, I was always never fully able to be fully free in expressions or experiences around folks, because it was always considering one person's thoughts or another person's thoughts, or I had to say, not all people, not all white people, or not all straight people, and sometimes I just want to be my friend and say, beep it all out, beep 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 beep. I just wanted to have that and be fully comfortable. And this year was a year of getting cozy and getting comfortable and getting very much in tuned with confronting a lot of things that I didn't have the time to confront a couple years ago. One, because of the pandemic. And so I was just grateful to be alive. grateful to, just trying to savor whatever's left of civilization. We didn't know how this was going to play out, right? And so it was no time to tap into enter this or enter that. The pandemic had us all just, grateful for life and trying to survive and trying to do whatever. So in my mind, I never really addressed a lot of things in my space that was annoying me because it was just no time for that. I felt like. But now there's been some time and now there's been space to reflect, to think, to look at relationships and gatherings and reimagine them and figure out how do I balance those things. And this was the year that I did that. This was the year when I feel like I started laying the foundation. There's more work to be done, but I feel like this year I definitely did a big one on this year for that. And I think overall, just reflecting on, the things that I prioritize and what I believe in and what are my values, it's been big on me to not acquiesce. There's always been this sense of, oh, I have to consider this or I have to channel this. And if I don't do that, then, I'm worried about tears and guilt and white tears and straight tears and fears. And I had to say to myself, I have a right to feel how I feel. I have a right to want to have space. I want a right to do these things. And no one should feel offended by it because it's not personal. As my grown, Monica say, don't take it personal. Because she want to be all alone. Just saying. Don't take it personal. But that was a big one that I took in this year. Like just reflecting on creating those boundaries and also creating those new opportunities and recognizing what makes certain friendships special and what's your love language and things, Food will always be mine. But yeah, I just think that was this year tapping and not being afraid or hesitant to establish boundaries and create those accommodations for myself. I think this year I was definitely more invested in just treating myself without explanation or justification. Just fucking want to do it. I think that was the thing this year too. I did a lot of things just because I wanted to without feeling like I had to explain. Even to myself. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, gatekeep the culture. Gatekeep the culture. So Jonathan Majors was found guilty. Last week's episode was a cliffhanger because you all was like, well, we knew it was coming. Well, he was found guilty. And, in retrospect, all this over misdemeanor, he could have just took that misdemeanor, but he wanted to take it to court because he really was trying to fight this through. But you did all this for a misdemeanor. You could have took that hit. You could have just took your responsibility. But I just say all this for misdemeanor. I cannot not be saying that. Like this all got carried out because of a misdemeanor. I digress. I mean, what else is there to say about him? I mean, Diddy is just. So Christian Keys, I'm trying to be respectful. It's his story, it's his journey. But if this dude, listen, nobody asked for this. Nobody asked for you to share that this happened to you in Hollywood. Now it's becoming a duck, duck, goose. It's a whodunit. It's becoming a little stretched for me. He's talking in circles. He's trying to suggest that he hasn't cleared anybody. He says that the person in the comments you all are naming is right, but there's multiple people that could be talked about. I just don't know what's happening. Either you're going to disclose it or you're not. Like, what's going on here? Now, here's what I heard. Now, these are from sources in media. So this ain't the hood talking. But I'm going to tell y'all this, and this is for this podcast, and I mean, it is what it is. But I always, I have an inside ear. And we don't gatekeep over here on Ernestly Speaking when it comes to tea. unless I have to dedact names for legal purposes. But what I have heard from media sources, and these are people in the media like me, they in the newsrooms, they get in tips, da 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 da. But I've been hearing, and I gotta say allegedly, because my attorney be like, I'll say this allegedly. He been out here, Mr. Keys, allegedly trying to fish this story out to various media outlets. He is trying to find somebody who will let him tell his story. I don't know if that means he gets paid. He's trying to get paid. Because I remember the days of people would do an interview on some channel and they would pay the subject. I don't know what the ethics are in some of these cases, but he's looking to tell his story to somebody. And I think he's trying to, he's trying to figure it out. Because technically, he said he went over the statute of limitations, so there won't be any criminal. I don't think there'll be any class action laws. I don't know if there'll be criminal stuff either, but he is clearly, in some regards, I think he's trying, again, this is an opinion, allegedly, use this opportunity on social media to generate attention and buzz about it. So we all want to know. The whole world wants to know. Everybody's trying to figure out who it is. There's been enough buzz about it. The next step is, okay, now what? How are we going to find out who this person is? Will it be a situation where he will eventually go on some show? Will he go on the Jason Lee show? Or will he go on, ABC Nightly News? I don't know. But I don't know if he's looking to shop the story, but there's been sources that say he's been talking to different media outlets. People have been reaching out to him. He's been trying to build a moment out of this. That's a little concerning because in one sense, I do believe that this happened to him. But I'm also kind of disappointed because I'm just why is it being done in this way? These are the types of luxuries that Hollywood... See, Hollywood, and we're going to talk about someone else later because this goes hand in hand. But Hollywood has this thing where everyone likes to use Hollywood as the litmus test on whether they believe victims, whether they give a fuck about labor issues and wages. We should not use celebrity in Hollywood as the litmus test of whether we should give a fuck about rape culture and pay inequity and racial discrimination. I don't care. And I feel like this week there's been this incident, another incident, which we're going to get to later in the show, that's going to really reiterate why I'm very critical about how celeb infatuated we are. Because sometimes we just get so much into the shit of these celebrities that we really let them be our whatever. Why do we need to wait for a fucking celebrity to say something on something before we give a fuck about it? If you care about what's going on in Palestine and the Middle East and what's going on over there, you don't need to wait for Beyonce to say something about it, to get the fuck up and make a statement, right? You don't got to wait for Taylor Swift to. I'm just tired of people wanting or expecting. Now listen, should they? Arguably, heavy is the crown. But did your state rep say something? Did your mayor say something? Did your governor say something? Did somebody that is impacting your legislative existence do something? I just feel like we just gotta treat celebrities how they are. The problem is we project too much on them, right? Because the reality is, at the end of the day, this person is just a fucking entertainer. See, people get mad when I say that. She dances, she sings, she has great concerts, she has great fashion, gorgeous gowns, beautiful gowns. Wonderful. Now I get to go the fuck home. She's an entertainer. Good night. And y'all don't want them to be that. You don't want Beyonce just the entertainer? No, she's a humanitarian. No, the fuck she isn't. Okay, she's not. She might cut some nice checks. Long story short, she just wants to be an entertainer. She wants to be apolitical. Okay, that's it. I know that you somewhere wanted her to be a lot of other things, but she's not. She just wants to sing. She just wants to perform. She just wants to sell shit to you. And she wants to look good doing it. And you know what? If that inspires you, let it be. But that's okay. That's where I'm at with it. I'm at the point where I don't want to project or put any more expectations or labor or anything like that on an artist. I'm at that point where I'm just over. Now, some of them are going to rise to the occasion and we can be proud of them. But I'm at a point where I'm just not going to give them too much of my weight. We shouldn't have been doing it anyway. But now it's time for us to grow up. We're in our 30s. 40s and older, right? it's time to give it up, right? They're just entertainers. But I say all this to say that with this situation with Christian, I just feel like this is a serious situation. I don't want to see this thing happen with Christian where he's in a position where, everybody around him is, super hype and super, Joe about his career because of this alone, and that this becomes his entire identity. Like, I didn't even know too much about him before all of this. I knew he played in a certain black billionaire in Hollywood's productions, but I didn't know anything else besides that. Now I know that he's accusing a billionaire in Hollywood of sexually harassing him and stalking him. I'm just tired of the guessing games personally. I just really hope that this person, gets the voice to share their story in full or just not. But the choice is up to them. That's all I got on that. Now, as far as this situation, now I, been following this, and it's, I'm gonna call it the prize. Um, don't understand what's going on here. I do. Um, Simone Biles, like, we all know who that is. Even if you don't know anything about gymnastics, we know who Simone Biles is, okay? You have to be living under a rock if you don't, especially as an athlete. But somehow her man, Jonathan Owens, who is in no relation to me, has decided that he wanted to go on this interesting tirade about allegedly, right? He claims that he did an interview and he said he never knew who she was. They met on a dating app. The app is called Raya. We're going to talk about Raya in a minute. But he said he went on this dating app and he did not know who she was. And she started, like, basically sending him messages, like as if on Instagram, DMing him. And then he found out, they started talking and she really laid it onto him. And he says he believes that men are the prize. And he wasn't joking when he said that, which is a little cringy. But he talked about, basically making it a point to say that, she came on to him and this, that, and the third and all that. Um, he's a football player. He plays for the Baltimore Ravens. I'm just finding this out just now. I didn't even know this was the case. Um, yeah, that's Cap. I don't believe him. Nobody believes him. Um, they've been trying to keep this narrative for a while. It's all bullshit. We found out it's bullshit. He was claiming that he was young at the time, well, years ago. So when Simone was like really out there, he was in high school or some shit, and so he didn't know much about gymnastics. Well, earnestly speaking, we do get receipts, and so we found numerous receipts during the Olympics in 2012, around August of 2012. He was posting about gymnasts. He was like watching it. Like, it seemed like he was live tweeting because there was multiple tweets where he was talking about the gymnastics coach. He was talking about a certain gymnast person getting a medal. He was very much enthralled with what was happening with gym and gymnasts and things. So it was interesting, and that was in 2012, dog. That was a year ago. That was 10 years ago. You definitely was knowing about gymnasts and shit. I don't know why we're acting like we don't know. So I'm going to call cap on that. That's cap number one. Let's talk about cap number two. Raya, right? Raya is an app that is for celebrities and famous people. You have to get on there. You have to prove that you are who you are. And it's almost like a very elitist dating app. So a lot of y'all could not get on Raya. Like, you just couldn't. Like, this ain't for the groupies. You got to be somebody of a certain status in order to get on there. The fact that he was on there is the gag for me, because I'm just like, Jonathan Owens, you're a football NFL player. I guess you deserve to be on there. But Simone Biles, liking your stuff, you didn't think she was somebody if she was liking your stuff? Like, what? Like, boy, bye. Like, again, I'm calling cap. Everybody knows who Simone Biles is. You may not know everything about her, but we all know her. She literally has won Female Athlete of the Year 3 times, including this year. Her comeback has been fucking flawless. Like, the thing about it is that if you was on Twitter, Black Twitter, she literally was a subject and a trending topic every single time she was spinning the air. We all know who she is, even if we don't watch every damn, competition. Like, it was infuriating what he was doing. So everybody was like asking me, like, Ernest, why? Why did he do this? Like, what's the reason for this? Here's what I think they did, because she's been a part of the cap too. I think the reason why they did this is because I think this was a way that she did not want the narrative to be that, oh, this thirsty ass dude, came after her, and like, watch out, Simone, this irrelevant, football player is trying to come on to you, and yada yada yada. You gotta watch out. People want you for your money, for your stuff. I don't believe that he wanted her for her stuff. I think that she did lay the moves on him, right? I think that she probably did say, oh, he cute, let me show him some love. I mean, listen, a girl can want, right? There's nothing wrong with that, right? There ain't nothing wrong with that. But I think the fucked up part is that he's acting like he don't need to know who she was, to try to play it off like, he's this humble guy that just fell into love. Bullshit. Okay? You knew exactly who she was. And the reality is that because she came on first, you're going to forever use that over her for the rest of all time. And I hate it. The straights are weird. Like this whole who did it gender roles. The woman did it, is this, is that. Who fucking cares? What we know is that this is why the straights can't get nothing. Because to me, why is it has to be all of that? Why? Why do y'all make love so difficult? Why does it just seem so unnatural to me? Like, y'all just make love seem so difficult. Everything is a fucking patriarchal competition, a dick measuring contest. It's always a cats versus the battle. Like, why is it like y'all entire like love history is rooted in being a battle of the sexes? Proving men and women. Do men even like women? I'm just saying, like, do y'all like? I don't get it. Like, I just think it's so weird. Um, and I gotta say that it's so much men doing this. I'm not going to say some men, but this whole gender battle shit is just so annoying. So like, okay, so two things can be two things can be true, right? I do believe that probably she was the first person that shooting her shot. He is a good looking guy. Okay, that's another true thing. He is attractive. His personality is a little concerning. I am seeing red flags personally, but he is a good looking guy. He's very attractive. But here's the thing, she probably did shoot her first shot. And to be clear, you know why she did throw her first shot, y'all? Because she was on Raya. Everybody got fucking status. Everybody is somebody on that app. You have to be somebody to be on it. So I feel like if you're on an app, like there was an app back in the day, I don't know if they still have it, but it was like it was so elitist. It was an Ivy League app where only Ivy League people that went to Ivy League schools can connect. So if you couldn't, listen. I didn't say I was on the app. I wasn't on the app, but this app it was a dating app for people that went to Ivies. So Harvard, Yale, Princeton, Cornell, Brown, Dartmouth, Columbia, the 8 Ivies. Okay, these people would go on this app, and they had to prove they were graduates. So you went for undergrad or something, but you had to be you had to have been a graduate or current person at the school. And so people would connect with other people that went to other Ivies. So sometimes it'd be pen on pen or Princeton and Yale or something. But it was a way to, I guess, create a certain type of intellectual, cultural connection, I guess. Whatever, right? So in that regard, like at a school, when you're in an environment like that, or a dating app like that, right? Nobody on that app is asking questions like, what's your GPA? Or have to wonder how smart a person is, because they're assuming, okay, we're all here. We're all, educatedly elite. I mean, this is the perception. I'm not telling you this is the reality. I'm just telling you what the perception is. They're thinking to themselves, this is a very Ivy world. We're all smart people. We don't have to argue about nothing. Or let's just say, for example, I'll give you another example. This is a one I think about recently about Hollywood. When I went to Hollywood, I went to the Grammys, for example, and I was in these rooms with these millionaires, right? When people went to the bar, first of all, these were like the bars that we were at. These were like unlimited open bars, right? But I'm thinking about like when people would go out to something like a restaurant or something afterwards, or whatever. When there was those after parties and those lounges, the hotel lounges, nobody fret over drinks, like, or paying for food. Like, folks would be like, "Oh, I got you," at the bar. No one ever was like, if you went and got a drink, someone would be like, oh, I got you. What y'all want? They bought a whole row something. Like they didn't, nobody was feeling any type of way. No one was like, oh, he bought me a drink. So therefore, he thinks I'm insignificant. That was everybody had money. So everybody in their mind was like, well, he's not buying me the drink because he don't think I can afford a drink. He's buying me the drink because, goddamn it, he's the first one in the fucking line and he just wants to treat. Okay, well, yeah, shit, the next round's on me. Say less. I got money. It was none of that type of animosity, right? Now, if you're in, working class, you're going to a regular, regular bar with regular people, it can get weird. If you go to the bar and you buy a person a drink, they might be like, oh no, I don't want it, or or whatever. It could be a different dynamic, right? Or there could be a different type of mentality. Like if a guy at a regular bar buys a girl a drink, a woman might feel like uncomfortable about it. Like, hey, why are you buying me the drink? I don't want anything. I don't want you to think this is an invitation. Or sometimes dudes at the club think, oh, I bought this girl a drink, so I bought her a drink, so she should dance with me. In Hollywood, none of that shit matters because everybody's got money. So if Oprah's in the room and she's right next to Byron Allen, and Byron Allen says, "Oh, Oprah, get us a bottle of Dom Perignon," not for 5 seconds does Byron Allen think that Oprah Winfrey is going to be beholden to him. It means nothing. I mean, Oprah is probably like, thank you. But like, it's nothing for them because literally they all got money. So nobody feels any weird way about spending money. Like no one's weird about buying each other drinks or buying things. That's what I enjoy. Maybe I was with some real rich people in Hollywood because there'd be some people capping in Hollywood. But maybe because where I was at, this is what I noticed. Like everybody was just living. Like money was not a thing because that's what their life was like. So I say this about the Raya app, right? I think that Raya as an app, right, with these A-listers, this is a place where they're like, look, I don't gotta be afraid of being thirsty. I'm not thirsty on this app because I'm somebody. The people on here are somebody. We all just shooting our shots. So I feel like Simone was probably like, look, I'm in my bag. Like, look, I know I'm a prize. I don't gotta sit and wait for somebody to say I look good. Look, shit, we all look good. We all successful. Let me hit this cute boy up. She didn't think nothing of it. But see, men, in spite of wealth, will still be sexist. They'll still be problematic, right? And so this dude, in spite of the fact that he could have realized this is my equal, that we're peers in this success game, he looked as an opportunity to try to one-up her. Which is why I find this problematic. Who cares who shot the shot? You guys are both celebrities. Like, what does it mean that she hollered at you first? Are you trying to imply that you're the prize? What fucking prize when you're both wealthy? Like, why does that even matter? Like, when I think about myself and Mr. Johnson, this is the best example. Clearly I probably was the one who hit on him first. I saw him, he was cute. I was like, who was this? I want to get to know him. But then after that, it was ping pong, ping pong, ping pong, ping pong. And no one ever is like, he hit me first. We both met at Penn. We both met at an Ivy League campus. At the end of the day, we're both the motherfucking prize. Like, what the fuck is this? Like, I find it baffling. But I say all this to say that now I understand why a lot of my cishet women friends are over men sometimes, or just be so over, like, even in acts of feminism, it will always be treated and shamed of, even upon. Like, why would you even try to air your girl out like that? Why would you even try to play her like that? Why would you even think that's the type of story you want to tell? And why would you even try to, on top of that, lie and say, oh, I didn't even know who she was, as if all the attention was on you? What kind of insecurity that you have within yourself that makes you feel like this is the story that you want everybody to know, and we still don't know who you are like that? And you know why this even started? I'm going to tell y'all why. Because this is what we do, people. We get so caught up in this narrative of, oh my God, Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce, they're out here getting publicity. They're not the only talented A-list couple. We need to amplify the black couples that are in sports. So really what happened was the media has been interested recently into Jonathan Owens and Simone Biles because everybody was talking about how Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce's relationship was getting magnified. So there were people who would say, well, there are other famous couples that are black, but they never get attention like that because they're not white. Well, you know what? Maybe we don't need to know all these goddamn love stories and celebrity relationships. Maybe we need to stop dealing with celebrity couples and shit altogether, because maybe this was none of our business, to be honest. Just saying. Maybe we didn't even actually know what the fuck was going on in that relationship, because look where we're at now. But I digress. So anywho, yeah, that just was, yeah, the biggest thing I'll say that's been disappointing is that Simone has been liking posts on social media of basically pick-me's that have been shaming women for being critical about the situation. And I'm just like, Simone, don't go down like this. Don't let this be the story. Don't let this be the story, baby. Don't let this be the way that people treat you. Don't let this be the way that people view you off the court. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe I'm just going to enjoy her as an athlete, and her personal life will be what it is. I mean, that's kind of how I feel about a lot of my faves. I think about Rihanna and A$AP Rocky. I think about Beyonce and Jay-Z. Like, I just like them for what they bring and what they create, but I can't really get invested in a personal life like that, because I'm just going to even be more disappointed. So, that's where we are. So, this topic, I have some mixed thoughts about this topic, and it's been coming up, and everybody wants to know what I think, yada, yada, yada. So, Taraji came out this past week on her media tour for The Color Purple, and she's been talking about how she's had to fight to get what she's paid in the industry. She's considered not acting at certain points in her career lately. She talked about a situation. She's always been talking about pay inequity issues for a minute, but people are catching on because it's went viral. She cried. She was emotional in an interview, talking about what actors are worth, how much money they got to pay for a team. They got to do this. They got to do this. They got to do this. And listen, it's very legitimate. It's very legitimate. And I just want to, before I go into my read, because what's coming, it's real, right? Black women specifically get paid at inequitable amounts compared to their white counterparts, whether male or other men, right? White, all of it, right? Other white women, right? For Margot Robbies out there in the world that make millions of dollars. There's people like Taraji and Lupita who don't get the same booming opportunities or the money that they want to be paid. And so, Taraji's talking about those inequities in Hollywood. I've heard the stories, okay, and these are real, right? So I want to first validate her legitimate critique. Let me tell y'all some things that you may not know, and some things I have thoughts about how complicated her thing is. I want to start off by saying this, because this has been annoying me. Black working class women, Black women who are not in the Hollywood celebrity class, does not have to fucking see themselves in Taraji's story to believe her. Working Black women in this country, in this society, women in general, but I'm talking about Black and brown women specifically, go through unique experiences that are fucked up. I'm talking, they will have advanced degrees and will still make less than white male counterparts that don't have the education background. These are facts, right? That even when they have these degrees and have these quote credentials, will still be turned around for positions that deem them worthy. As someone who's grown up with a mother who's been in the industry, has been working in corporate America for 20 something years, I have seen her literally fight to get positions, be qualified, have all types of backings and support, and I'll have all the things, and will get passed over, and have had to deal with that through various companies and things. I've seen it in my own life. I've seen it with friends of mine who have worked and have had experiences like that. We don't have to wait for a Hollywood celebrity's experience to resonate with that. It's just, come on, right? And then let's also talk about the reality of like Hollywood itself, and like even what she says. She says first she gets her money and then 30% goes to the team. When she said the team the team is like people that do hair and makeup and fashion and get wardrobes and things. That team. And also the lawyers and the agents and people like that too. Here's the thing about that. Most regular people don't have teams like that. Like, oh, I got people that got to do my hair, my makeup, and my wardrobe and shit like that. Like, people just don't, regular people don't have that. Okay? So, being a Hollywood star and playing those games, um, other things that people don't talk about, the industry is very rooted in racism and ageism and homophobia. And as long as we as a society and the people in the entertainment industry continue to play in that type of game, these are the things that will continue to happen until there is a demand or a shift in the culture. It will not happen. So I will tell you about me and why I'm not like in Hollywood like that. When I got to Hollywood, I visited a couple times. I have had years ago, thought about, ooh, I want to be one of these red carpet hosts. And I went to BT Awards 2014 and was an apprentice for some BT exec and traveled and did some stuff and seen some things and stuff I'll say for a book one day or just may not share. Who knows? But I know some things. And some of my friends, I've had tea time with them and we've talked about some of it. But not for this podcast, at least not now. But there are experiences and things I saw in Hollywood that I realized off the jump why people get broke or go broke or have these experiences. And what I learned that I wasn't going to do because I saw what was happening. There's a lot of people that are very much in obsessed with, being in the spotlight, being in certain types of, industry spaces and places. They want certain types of, visibility, right? And there's people, and I see people do this even that's not necessarily in Hollywood, but Hollywood adjacent. They want to feel like they're bigger than what they are. They fake it till they make it because they believe that by doing so, that's going to open up an opportunity for them to get something, whatever that means, right? So the mindset is, oh, I'm going to, get, I'm going to get a makeup team. I got to have a hairstylist. I got to have a person on team that I fly out to do my hair and my nails. And I got to do all these different things so I could be able to, I got to get a stylist. Like I got to have somebody that's going to pick out things for me to wear and blah, 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 blah. And they spend money and they spend money and spend money. And everybody's getting paid and everybody's getting checks because you want to, you got some money to spend and you got the money and you can spend it. But then you do that, and then you're not really having much money for yourself. Then you get to a point where you rely on the comps. So free invitations, free food, free this, free stuff to keep the lifestyle going. So most of your money is not being spent on the food or the actual places you're going to. You're mostly spending your money to keep up the look. You're keeping up the appearances because you want to be able to maintain. And so by doing that, you think that's going to get you want to be in these rooms. That's going to get the eye of some major studio producer or director or whomever. And then they will then give you an opportunity to make more money. But then you get the money and then you still have to pay the team and the other people and other things. You never really get paid a boat ton of money in spite of the inequity of like seeing these multi-billion-dollar corporations, right? You're still not getting what you are, but you accept it, right? Because you still think that that's going to snowball into another opportunity. It's going to give you really big money. And then you just keep doing this for several years and it never really gets better. Meet the Hollywood black actress and the Hollywood black actor. That is literally their story. The majority of them, that is their story. That is Billy Porter's story. That is a lot of these people's stories. Some of them did get a couple of nice checks. A lot of them aren't getting the real Hollywood money. And so they do a lot of stuff like TV and they do commercials. They do speaking engagements. I will tell you, I knew the money wasn't moneying like that in Hollywood when I looked at certain things. So for starters, first of all, Keke Palmer, everybody talking about how she has many gigs. Keke Palmer has to have those gigs because these industry jobs ain't paying people that kind of money. I know it for a fact, and I'm going to tell you how I know it. They're not paying people no really crazy money. Some of them get nice checks, some of them do, but Keke, she has a lifestyle she wants to maintain. She has to work a little bit harder. She has to take on different types of gigs. Taraji is signed to Collective Speakers, which is the speaking agency that I'm a part of. And so she takes on speaking engagements. I do speaking engagements. For me, it's good money. She clearly gets paid more money than me for her engagements. I don't know what she gets paid, but clearly more. But I'm a part of that agency that she's a part of. But I think to myself, like, when people sign on to these different types of groups, this is opportunities they're trying to find, they're trying to get in addition to. Because you think about it, like, Leonardo DiCaprio doesn't have to do any public speaking engagements. He doesn't have to be a part of Collective Speakers. Leonardo DiCaprio could do one film, right? And Denzel too. Even Denzel, like, Denzel's that dude, but like, Denzel is an anomaly. So let's be clear: for every Denzel, there are about 100,000 folks in Hollywood that don't have nothing that Denzel has. Okay, for every Leonardo DiCaprio, there are a million white actors who don't have, or a million actors in Hollywood that don't have what he can achieve. So our expectations are weird because proximity to Hollywood has gotten very small. It's easier now to be linked up with a Hollywood person than it was like maybe 20 years ago. Like 20 years ago, it felt like impossible to get access or to be in a room with a celebrity or someone famous. Today, it's not that hard to get in a room with somebody famous. I mean, it's really not that hard. It really isn't that hard. And because of that, the perception of wealth and money is overindulged. It's over embellished. It's a lie. It's cap. It's like everybody's walking around. It's like, oh, I'm in this picture with this person, so I must be somebody. Even with the White House, all these people coming out there dressed up and acting like they doing it big at the White House probably don't even got $300 in their bank account. Like, it's a real thing. These perceptions, right? This country, a lot of people in this country don't got a lot of money. It's not a lot of wealthy people. There are 1%, but there's a lot of people acting like they're in that class when they're really not. And so you see this really big in Hollywood, where in Hollywood, there's a lot of people that is walking around flexing and acting like they just got so much status and so much money and so much, resources and so much this. And the truth of the matter is they don't have as much as you think they do. And so I'm not surprised by what Taraji said. And actually, it's a reality for a lot of other people. Hence why they were big on the labor unions and really pushing and protesting out there, because they do live very much, average lives. The problem is that they really, like, the issue with the celebrities specifically is that they are afraid to live a better upper middle class life. So everything they do runs off of credit. Everything they do, because they're trying to maintain an image to the public, because they're ashamed to just say, I'm a working actor. Because the assumption is, if you get that Emmy nomination, that Oscar nomination, then you don't really have a really average life. You have to have extravagance and things. And so when I got in the media industry very early, I remember lots of conversations people were trying to do with me, tell me, Ernest, you got to get a stylist. You got to get this. You got to get this. You got to sign to this and this. And I just was like, that's a lot of work. And I just felt like it was just inauthentic. So I just took control of my career in a very different way, where, like, for starters, I'm picking out my own clothes. I'm going to buy my own clothes. Now, if people want to give me clothes or gift me clothes, that's fine. But I'm not paying for a stylist. I style myself. I don't have a designer or a stylist. I get my clothes. I love a good sale. I love to accept lovely clothes. Shout out to people who, mail me things and, send me, y'all know who y'all are. Shout out to y'all. But like, I'm not doing all that. Okay, I go to Hand and Stone for my massages and my facials. I get my nails done, on a regular basis. I get the haircut at First Decisions. But I just keep my upkeep. I don't have a barber that I fly out and all that. I don't do all of that. I saved a lot of money that way. Like, I just said, look, I'm just going to just, look, I don't have a private jet. I'm not going to rent a PJ. I'm not doing it. But will I ride first class? There's many times I've rode first class this year. I'll do that, or I'll do priority. But I mean, there's ways that you can maintain a nice lifestyle and be reasonable without doing the most. You know what I'm saying? Like, look, everybody has to pay a team. Everybody's, I have a team, not a makeup and stylist and all that shit, but I have a lawyer and a financial advisor and people that do all my other stuff and handle that stuff. But, like, they get paid, right? They get what they need to get. But you got to make sure you take care of the stuff that matters. And I feel like when I hear these stories a lot, it's hard for people, working people like myself, to kind of, I'm not saying I don't feel empathy, but it's just some of this is just like, let's be real about how we really living. Like, why are you buying all these cars when you could just rent a nice car or get one good car? Like, there's a lot of stuff people do. Why did you get this big ass mansion when you always traveling? Like, I refuse to get a house right now. I have a very nice spot I live in. I love where I live, but I don't have a big old 2-story, 3-story house. I just don't have that. And it's not that I can't afford it. It's just that logically it doesn't make sense for me right now. And so it's just making decisions that make sense, and having the right financial coaching, but also just having a good understanding about your priorities. Because these horror stories we hear in Hollywood, some of this stuff, it's, first of all, let's be clear, it's fucked up. The inequity is fucked up. But the reality is, to me, it's not that we should be having a conversation partially about the inequity in Hollywood, but we should also have a conversation about what is it meaning to folks that are thinking like in this industry. They need to do all of these things in order to succeed. Why are we telling them that that's what success looks like, right? Why are we selling them that dream when that dream is not being maintained by the very people who are selling it? There are people that's telling you need to have this, and this to be successful, but they're struggling to get paid, and they're having all the things they're telling you about. And that was what I learned early in Hollywood back in 2014. I said, oh my God. When I went to the BET Awards, I said, listen, I need to stay with my man. This is not the escape. People think, oh, I got to go to Hollywood. I ain't going to escape. I'm going to reinvent myself. I'm going to do all this and do all that. Listen, it is not what it's pepped up to be. New York City isn't either. Overrated. I love Philly. And people say, well, why are you going to leave Philly? I'll leave Philly when I feel like it. But quite frankly, I just don't. When I hear people tell people that you have to do this, I don't believe that, because I know white people who don't have those experiences. I know straight people that don't have to make those sacrifices. And quite frankly, I'm not going to do the same conventional method that everyone else is doing if everyone's having the same situation. So the reason why you will never hear me talk about inequity issues when it comes to money, because up front, I'm very clear on what my stuff is, and I'm also very come in, like, if I take a position, if I take a gig, if I take a thing, if I sign that contract and take that money for what it is, I'm not taking nothing off of just potential anymore. I'm off of that. I'm not going to be like, okay, I'm going to take this very, very super cheap thing with the hopes that it's going to lead to something great. Nah, I want to get paid what I deserve immediately. And it ranges based on what it is. But I don't want to be in a situation where I have regret, because these bills and the things I have to pay and the things I have to do, those things don't have no grace for anyone. And so I see a lot of actors, writers, and artists and musicians that's out here just, trying to play these games, and then they find themselves in these horrible predicaments, and then they wonder. And so I just tell a lot of young people too, especially those who are musicians and artists, like, stop trying to overthink shit. Like, stop trying to do all of these, like, have all this ridiculous perfection and trying to emulate Beyonce. Like, the one thing that I heard someone say earlier on social media was like, we got to kill this whole, we all got the same 24 hours Beyonce has. No, the fuck we don't. And it's so true. Like, we don't have the same 24 hours Beyonce do, or Oprah do, or even me. People don't have the same 24 hours I do. I stopped telling people the same 24 hours. I am able-bodied. I don't have any children. I am healthy. I don't have. I'm in a gainfully employed 2-income household. So the 24 hours I have is very different than someone who has children, single parent, single income household. It's a very different lifestyle. That person's 4 hours are not just their 24 hours. They have to share that with kids, or if somebody has to take care of a sick family member or relative, they have to split that time up. So a lot of this hustle mentality that we tell people about how to spend their time, we got to consider all of the factors in that 24 hours, and that everybody don't have the same 24 hours. No, you don't have the same 24 hours as Beyonce, because Beyonce has someone watching her kids. Beyonce has a nutritionist that's cooking her fucking vegan meals. She has someone who's ironing her clothes and picking out her clothes. She got a husband that is dick on demand. She's got a lot of things that's just like ready for her on the drop of a dime. And so in those 24 hours, yeah, she can lay down and drink, I don't know, boxed water somewhere in some Spanish, French Riviera, and really think about her songwriting, her music, and her craft. Meanwhile, some of y'all got 9 to 5 jobs. When you done with that work, you got to go to bed and go to sleep, and you got to rest, and then you got to, figure out other shit going on in your life, right? That's not the same 24 hours. And so we really got to take some time to really be, put things in context. And that's been really big to me. So, yes. Now, I want to also add this little tidbit because I didn't want to forget this part. A lot of y'all been talking about this, about Taraji and they feeling bad. Let me just say this. She did clear the air with Oprah because people thought that it was Oprah who did it and she had to clean that shit up real fast. Shout out to her for doing that. But let me just say, I don't want to call it karma, but I want to say that it's interesting because the first thing that came in my mind, and I only said this on this episode because I'm not going to say this anywhere else, but when she talked about her having a hard time with the money, I said, was this before or after you was hanging out with Russell Simmons on an island when he was being accused of the crimes? He could have cut you a check, my dear? Or I don't know, did you get the money from Lee Daniels, when he was blackballing Monique? Oh, because y'all was playing my girl Monique. I remember when everybody was acting like Monique was so disrespectful and she was crazy when she was talking about being blackballed and dealing with these things in the industry. And, now some of the same people are having some similar issues from the same, empires that came from the people that she was accusing of blackballing. So I'm just saying, Monique has been said this. But, you didn't want to hear from her because she was bigger, louder, bolder, and more vulgar than you all would have appreciated. But she tried to tell y'all. And, Monique has been very honest about how she wants to maintain her lifestyle, how she wants to get paid properly. And she was very transparent about a lot of those experiences. And these are working people. Like, the glitz and the glam is only a part of the spectacle. It's not the maintenance of the life. But see, the problem with the celebrity culture is that we see the biggest elites live their best lives. And so we assume all of them are experiencing those things, but they're not. And also, it's interesting, like, shout out to the white Hollywood stars, like the Jessica Chastains, who do speak up for other women on sets with her, where she do advocate for other people. She did it for Octavia Spencer in The Help. And it's a lot of white actresses and even white actors who don't do that. And it's unfortunate. Like, I wonder, Brad Pitt was paid $10 million for The Case for Benjamin Button, but Taraji, who got an Oscar nomination, was only paid $150,000. Just saying. I'm just saying. It might, there's some conversations that need to be had. There's some allyship that still needs to be had in Hollywood. And now I understand why, people like, the conversations about writers. I remember there was that famous actress, Frances McDormand, who just won an Oscar 2 back in a row. But she talked about writers for actors. And, there hasn't been much changed on that, on that front. People talked about it a little bit, but it was not enough about it. But she talked about an inclusion writer and how actors can have this powerful ability to, in their writers, when they ask for bookings and things, that this is something that people could be done. So basically it's a stipulation that actors and actresses can ask or demand to have inserted in their contracts, which would require a certain level of diversity among a film's cast and crew. So we see a lot of people who do things like this. And, she's been doing it, apparently. Frances McDormand has done a lot of that work. She did it with her last big film she won an Oscar for, which was Nomadland, which she won Best Actress for right after she won for 3 Billboards Outside of Ebbing, Missouri. It's interesting. But You know, just some food for thought. Now, there was a big Ask Ernest this week, and I thought I wanted to combine it. People was asking me different stuff like, oh, what was the worst thing you did this year? What was the worst this? So, what's the best advice you give? And so, in the summary, largely, I came down to where a question, the number one thing they said is, what do you want people to leave behind in 2023? That was kind of like the theme of what I was getting asked this week in my DMs. So, it was like some type of thing, whether it was relationship stuff or whatever. But the theme was on like leave it behind. You know how to say leave it in 2023, leave it in 2023. So here's some things that I would say, habits, relationship wise, personal, whatever you want to make of it. I think the big thing for me, leaving behind, I want to tell this, and this is to the straights specifically, but anyone can take this. I just need y'all to just stop having explanations for everything that y'all do in y'all relationships. If it makes sense to y'all, let it make sense to y'all. When y'all start trying to over-explain and justify, that's when the shit gets really sus to me. If it works for you, if it works for y'all, then that's all that matters. And we don't care. We shouldn't care. And you don't even gotta tell us. I feel like this year with a lot of like mainstream conversation around dating, I just feel like I felt like a lot of women felt like they had to explain things. Like Jada with her book, I just didn't think we need to know so much about her and Will's relationship. That's her right, it's her story, but I just feel like she just felt like she had to explain things to people. Why? We're not in your bed. I don't care. I don't need to know. I just feel like people feel like they have to always explain certain things. And I'm just over people explaining things all the time. Like, unless you, like, and the gag is, the stuff we want people to explain to us, they don't explain that. But the things that we don't ask for, they feel like they have to. Like, I don't care if you're in an open relationship. You don't got to explain that to me. Explain it to your partner. If you and your partner and your spouse or whatever is understanding about that, that's cool. It's when you don't explain it to the people that need to explain that, it gets weird, right? So I'm big on that. I don't need to, I just feel like I'm just tired of people explaining things. Like, even this recent situation with Simone Biles and Jonathan Owens, I just don't feel like we needed to they didn't need to explain how they met or who hit on who first. We didn't need to know that. So I would say leave explaining your relationship dynamics to public. Leave that behind. We don't need the explanation. That's one thing. Another thing I'm big on this year is I think this is the year that I would like everyone to stop trying to be an expert. I feel like this is the year where everybody felt like they need to be a fucking expert. And what I mean by expert is like everybody wants to be like a food critic, but they don't actually like have the range. Everybody wants to be, somebody's expert on something without the credentials. I just feel like experting without credentials. Bring back credentials in 2024. I mean, I think the Trump era specifically has made everyone feel like they can be whatever they want without any credentials. I guess they were like, if Donald Trump could be the president of the United States without any credentials, we could all be that way. I'm sick of that. I really want us to kill that in 2020. We should just kill that in 2023. Like, I just feel like if you don't have the actual credentials or the range, I don't want to hear from you. Like, I don't want to hear you telling me about taking any type of medicine if you're not a doctor. I don't want you talking to me about what foods I should put in my body if you're not a dietitian. When I'm talking about diet and exercising, unless you're a dietitian or you're a certified practitioner in that type of department, I don't really need you giving me all that advice. I don't need a person trying to do therapy, like using therapy methods and things, and you're not an actual therapist. Like, everybody just needs to just stay in their lane. And I think that's a big thing. Maybe that's the theme. Stay in your lane in 2024. Stay in your lane. Like, and if you want to do new lanes, then just, step up your education and really earn the credentials if you want to switch lanes. But the only way you can switch lanes is if you actually, have the rights to move. You got the brakes in the pool to go. So that just needs to happen again. I really need people staying in lane in 2024. Other trends, other things I want people to leave behind or do better on. Um, I definitely think I want a lot of the very, I think this has been a big thing for me this year, particularly, but I just want friends, folks, anybody in your life, you got people in your life, it's time to tell people close to you to grow up. I just feel like there's been a lot of immaturity. And I'm not saying that you can't be silly and be a goofball, but I'm talking about a different type of immaturity. An immaturity when it comes to professionalism, an immaturity when it comes to relationships or dating, an immaturity when it comes to adulting. I'm starting to find myself in my own personal life looking at people and folks in my space. I don't even want to say the word friend because everybody's not a friend. I like to use the word associates, but there's people I recognize that I find that now that I'm in my 30s, like really in my 30s, well, I'm shoot, what? I'm 32 now, so I'm deep in my 30s. And when I was 30 and 31, I was like, oh, we transitioned, but like I'm now, we in there. And I'm starting to notice just a lot of things that's like the things we did in our 20s cannot be the things we're doing in our 30s. And it's just like, I don't know. Maybe this is, I just want to just throw this out there for people. We're not going anywhere without a reservation. We're just not doing it. Make a reservation, people. We're not doing things without reservations. Period. We're just not. We're not doing the whole, he texts me good morning. Should I text back? Child, what are we, 20? We're not doing this. We're not doing this in 2024. Fuck him if you want to, or don't fuck him. Either way, somebody's going to get fucked regardless, right? If you sleep with him the first night or the 10th night, guess what? It's your body. It's your business. No one gives a fuck. We're in our 30s. Nobody is waiting to see if you do the slut walk, which does not exist really, right? That walk of shame in your college dorm. No one gives a fuck. Live your life and just do it. Or don't do it. It's your body. It's your choice. I think I have gotten really annoyed this year with the immaturity that I've seen around me about little stuff. The big stuff, little stuff. Like, oh, last minute, not coming to things the last minute. Just dropping out at the last minute when you knew you couldn't come to a party. Just not planning, procrastinating, but having an excuse for the procrastination always. Just, I just want everybody to be mature. I want people to just be mature. I just want maturity this year. Maturity is the key. And I'm not talking about maturity when it comes to like, oh, you laughed at a fart joke. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about like emotional, professional maturity. I'm saying talk about this now because I'm in a position where I'm a manager, like I'm an editor, so I work with different writers and I have staff and different groups and organizations I'm working in. So I'm thinking about this holistically, like I just want maturity. And I'm not afraid to tell people to be an adult. I have started to do that. I'm starting to tell people like, yo, what are we? What are we doing? Be an adult. That's not, what are you doing? I just think I'm tired of patterns of behavior that people know they have. And in spite of them being accountable to that, they choose to still deviate and, shift elsewhere. We got to be better. In 2024, maturity is key. That's just big to me. Other things to leave behind or consider. Oh, we ain't playing blame games in 2024. Again, this is part of maturity. Stop blaming people for the shit you do. Like, really, unless somebody is coercing you physically or some threatening harm, we gonna be accountable for ourselves. We're gonna own our shit. If you did it, you did it. If you said it, you said it, and own your shit. I think that's another thing this year. Like, it's just big on people just being self-accountable. Stop trying to throw the hot potato to somebody else. Stop trying to dodge. Stop trying to not be honest about it. But to prevent the fear of whatever you're fearing, rejection, disappointment, you're better off letting people know where you stand immediately or where you might be or where you're at, rather than prolonging something and letting it build up and then it pisses you off. Yeah. Yep. That's my big ones. Yes, very reflective. So, movies. Well, The Color Purple came out. It's coming out, Christmas weekend into the new year. I know y'all been seeing all the buzz and you're excited to see it. I told you all this was a good film. I told you all that you were not ready for this incredible film, and it is doing wonders. People are super excited about it. I think it's going to just do fabulous at the box office. I think a lot of people are going to really be eating this up. So I'm looking forward to more color purple love to come. Other things. So I'm just gonna take this time to talk about my favorite movies of the year. And then, my year review. Cause it's like there's music is out, but like we're at the point of the year where no artist is really dropping a new album. Nicki Minaj decided to be silly and do that early December. We're in Christmas song modes. We're listening to Christmas jingles. No one's really dropping any new music. So here's the thing. So movies this year, I liked. The Color Purple musical was great. It was a great revival. I enjoyed it. I know there's people that are talking about how close it is to Alice Walker's book or not. Listen, Alice Walker's book is Alice Walker's book. It's her classic. If you want to read her book, read her book. Go back to reading. Every movie is not going to, you know what I'm saying? It's just, Hollywood is never going to get it right in the way that it could be. Read the damn book, period. Read books. That's it. Other movies. So I watched Mastro, which was good. It is starring Bradley Cooper, and also it has, the incredible, well, he's directing the film. So Bradley Cooper directed it, and he filmed it. Carey Mulligan is in it. She's an incredible actress. She's been nominated for an Oscar, for Oscars in the past. Several good films, that she's been nominated for. She was nominated for An Education, which was a great film with her. She was in The Great Gatsby. Another great film, the one that I really loved by her, and she got nominated for, was Promising Young Woman, which was so good. But those are only 2 Oscar nominations, An Education and Promising Young Woman. But people think she's going to get nominated for Maestro, which I could see happening. I remember when she was in Education, she was like 24, 23 years old. But Bradley Cooper is playing Bernstein, which is the biopic, which is an iconic film. But he is playing Lenny Bernstein. People have mixed thoughts about the film, but I thought it was really good. I think it's a very good film. It's very tumultuous. It's very spicy, and yeah, I really liked it. Other movies that I liked Saltburn, which is now out on Amazon Prime. A very spicy film. Very, very spicy. Very, very spicy. Loved it. May December. Another great film that I really enjoyed. Thought that it was pretty thought-provoking. Good conversations. Barbie was cool. I do think Barbie's a little overrated. To be honest, no shade, but it's a good film. But I do think it's a little overrated. Past Lives, which I loved. Killers of the Flower Moon, really, really fun film. I can't wait to see Poor Things, which I've been hearing good reviews about. Anatomy of the Fall is pretty good. Oppenheimer was really, really good. I really liked Oppenheimer. I liked Air. I got to see Air. It came out earlier this year. That was the Michael Jordan movie. Well, Michael Jordan is not in it technically, but it is the one with oh my goodness, Matt Dillon and Ben Affleck, and Chris Tucker's in it, and of course the legendary Viola Davis is in it as well. Other movies that stood out. Animated films. I liked The Boy and the Heron. I liked Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. I liked Elemental. Those are pretty good. Um, Thinking of some other films. Oh, I liked what was it? It was, oh my goodness, Domingo Coleman was in it. It was Bayard Rustin. Rustin was good. Rustin was great. Really, really liked Rustin. Um, those are my major films, I would say. Those are the ones that stood out to me the most. I was very impressed. Um, Looking forward to The Handovers. Looking forward to seeing that. I've heard good things about it. But yeah. As far as TV shows go, I had my fix on of course Baddies over there, Zeus. But for sophisticated TV, I love The Crown. The final season of The Crown was definitely top tier for me. The Bear was great. Succession, oh, what a finale. Um, Abbott Elementary was really good. I love it. I fell into this show called Fellow Travelers, which was pretty good. And Lawman, Bass Reeves with David Oyelowo. He was phenomenal. Um, yeah, really liked that show. And I also liked the show called White House Plumbers. That was pretty good too. Pretty good. Highly recommended. Movie that I want to say this. Movies that underwhelm me or I wasn't too crazy about. So American Fiction. Okay, so it's a good movie, but it's also a movie where I'm kind of like, I was not as thrilled about it as much. I feel like white people are gonna like it, and black folks that well, you know what I'm talking about. It's a certain type of black folk that's gonna like it. Ones that have been detached from white people. No, black folks has been detached from other black people, but like to watch movies that they think are gonna challenge, provoke white people. Whatever, right? American Fiction, it's okay. It's not a bad movie. The acting is what saves it, but the premise of it all just seems. There's moments of endearment where I'm like, okay, I can appreciate that, but then there's moments I'm just like, okay. Listen, Jeffrey Wright is a great actor. Very much so, a great actor. There's another great actor in the film. American Fiction it's a really good film. But I don't know what it is. It's like, okay, this the best way I could describe it reminds me of like Get Out. Like when Get Out first came out, I was obsessed with it. Like I thought, oh my God, this is everything. But the older I got and the more I was following, some of these other Get Out themes, it got corny to me, if that makes sense. And so like Sterling K. Brown is in the film. He plays a gay character, and I'm just kind of like, okay, but then I'm also like, I'm just so tired of straight actors playing gay characters because it's like we don't get enough actual. We don't have enough, and you know what? I do get it now. People just always say why I don't like it. It's bad enough that there's not enough black gay actors in Hollywood, but then we give straight actors the opportunity to play gay characters in black shows. So like Sterling K. Like we could have just had a gay. We could have just. Why couldn't we just get an actual gay actor, like a black gay actor, to play the character? Like, why not? Like, honestly, there's not enough roles for us anyway in Hollywood. It's not like you could see they never give like that many straight black men. Like, sorry, they don't give a lot of gay black men in Hollywood straight roles. Like, I love Domingo Coleman. Like, Domingo Coleman is one of the few black men in Hollywood, black gay male actors in Hollywood that has been able to play gay characters and straight characters simultaneously. Like in The Color Purple, he's Mr., who is straight, but he's also playing Bayard Rustin, who is a black gay civil rights icon. Like this man gets the versatility. But there's a lot of black gay actors who don't get that versatility. And so when there is an opportunity to cast a gay character, why do we always give it to straight people? Like Will Smith, he is a black straight actor. And he played a black gay character in 6 Degrees of Separation back in the 90s. So, it's a lot of different roles. There's a lot of people, straight people, that are playing gay characters. And I just feel like we should just have an opportunity to allow people to have, just give us roles. Give us roles. Like, if we can't play straight characters most of the time, then give us more roles where we get to play ourselves. I don't know. I get annoyed with it sometimes. Other movies that didn't get me, Wonka. Timothy Chalamet, he's a great actor, but eh. Story. It was boring. Wonka was just not that good for me. I mean, kids might like it, but I wasn't crazy about it. To be honest, I wasn't crazy about it. Um, Other movies that were, that were okay. Um, All of Us Strangers. There are people that live by that movie. I didn't find it that mesmerizing. It is a queer film, but I didn't really find it to be that. I mean, it was okay. But there's people that just really live off of that film and think it's the best thing since sliced bread. I guess. I guess. Um, as far as music go, this year was an interesting year for music. All of Taylor Swift's re-releases, I was here for them. They were really good. Nicki Minaj. Whatever Pink Friday 2 was. I mean, whatever. It was whatever. It was snory. Boring album. I love SZA's album. I know that there are people that feel mixed things about it, but I definitely appreciated it. Um, who else's album that I like this year? What albums are out? I feel like I listened to Renaissance so much this year that I forgot that Renaissance came out in 2022. I just, thought, I forgot. But there was some stuff. I mean, I like Guts by Olivia Rodrigo. The Record by Boy Genius is really good. Um, Midnights, y'all know I love Midnights, but that came out last year technically, but that was okay. Um, Albums that were like okay. I mean, I felt like The Age of Pleasure, it was okay. Endless Summer Vacation by Miley Cyrus, which had Mike Will Made It on production, which was interesting. The album was okay. I mean, Flowers is the mega mega hit off of that album. My song of the year, it is definitely, I gotta say, my song of the year was for this year is Put It on the Floor Again by Lotto featuring Cardi B. I just felt like that was a banger. That was a real song. The features were great. Now, Rolling Stone said that this year, Ski Wee was the top rap song of the year. Listen, to each their own. Um, I don't really know how I feel about that. But everyone's talking about it. It was the big. They did the top 15 songs, and so um, Jealousy by Offset and Cardi B was number 15. Quavo featuring Takeoff, Patty Cake was number 14. 13 was Doja Cat, Ago- Agora Hills. 12 was Central Lee and Dave, Sprinter. 11 was Gunna, Fuck You Mean. 10 was Baby Keem and Kendrick Lamar, The Hillbillies. Number 9 was J Hus featuring Drake, Who Told You. Number 8 was 41. It was the song Bent by 41. Number 7 was First Person Shooter, Drake featuring J. Cole. Number 6 was Ken Carson, Jennifer's Body. Number 5 was Little Yachty featuring J. Cole, The Secret Recipe. Number 4 is VZ, Not a Drill. Number 3 was Ice Spice Deli, which I really like. I agree. Number 2 was Put It on the Floor Again, which is Lotto featuring Cardi B. And then number 1 was Sexy Red Ski Wee. Yeah, I really did love Lotto. I really did. I mean, it was, yeah, I mean, to me, that's my number one, but it was their number two. But my number one was Lotto featuring Cardi B, Put on the Floor Again. I mean, the iconic lyrics. I mean, I'm sexy dancing in the house. I feel like Britney Spears. Like, what? Okay, got her lurking on my page before she feed her kids. I mean, just I mean that song is my whole 2023 in a nutshell. What else? What else is out there? Trying to think what else has been said. Um, mm, 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 mm. I just, mm, 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 mm. Somebody shared a tweet from Jonathan Owens from August of 2012 where he said Gabby just need to get them bottom teeth fixed and then her smile will be cool, LOL. Now, again, y'all remember who Gabby is. First of all, why is he talking about a woman's mouth in this type of way? But they just keep finding things on him. And it's embarrassing because he definitely was following the gymnast. I mean, he's 28 years old. So this was 2012, 11. He was like 17. But clearly he was watching the gymnast because he was tweeting about them. See, I told y'all he was lying. And it just keeps getting worse. It just keeps getting worse. Mm-mm-mm. Poor guy. Poor Jonathan. I wonder how long that relationship gonna last. It's only a matter of time. It's only a matter of time. Um, but yeah. So as far as TV goes, I'm looking forward next year to new Love and Hip Hop in January. Love and Hip Hop Atlanta and Love and Hip Hop Atlanta are coming back. Saucy Santana is apparently going to be in Love and Hip Hop Atlanta, which I am giddy for. Love and Hip Hop Miami seems to be getting stuff together. No Erica Mena this season. Praise God. It looks like Safari is trying to make a return. I really am getting tired of Safari. How many people in the cast is he going to be connected with romantically? I'm getting over it. I guess everybody. I mean, he's just the door that everybody's getting a turn on. I suppose. I guess that's what he needs to do to stay relevant and keep himself being paid. But Safari is Safari. Um, I yeah, I mean, I think otherwise. When I think about everything else that's going on, I don't know what else is on TV. What's coming? I mean, Abbott Elementary is coming in February. I'm super excited about that. I'm a little sad. No more Succession. No more The Crown. So there's gonna be new shows. The Emmys are going to be coming back, like in like the first the second week of February. No, the second week of January. The Emmys, the primetime Emmys are running. They just did the daytime Emmys, so Emmys are on schedule. Okay, that's good news. Shout out to my WGA people, Writers Guild of America. I'm starting to get all of these screeners to watch all of these movies. I got to start reviewing because now that I'm a member of the union, I can now, vote in the writers. So I'm getting screenplays, I'm getting movie screenings of all these movies that's come out. I got to review them to watch them so I could be able to vote for who I think should get, the Writers Guild for screenplay and all that. So that's coming. And the Writers Guild matters because that helps with the recording, not the recording academy, the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences for screenplay. So if people like a certain screenplay or vote, that could determine or elevate somebody's, adapted screenplay or original screenplay. All of this all matters. So I'm excited. I'm super excited about that. But concluding, because this has been a long ass episode. Okay, I gave y'all a long episode that's gonna hold you all until the season 6 premiere, which will be on Monday, January 8th. Yes, we're taking a nice little 2-week break. There'll be no Ernestly speaking until Monday, January 8th. That will be the season 6 premiere. But before this premiere, I want to tell you all some little things. A couple of little plugs, because I know you all are hype and I have some surprises. And I want you all to know some things. So, for starters, if you all have been wanting to know how I wrote a book and how I did it well and how I was able to take advantage of this opportunity, I have some things that I can fill you in on. So this is I'm doing a special workshop on the 20th anniversary. This is the 20th anniversary of Philadelphia Stories. Now, if you've never heard of them, this is a nonprofit that's all about literacy and promoting writers, books, and everything else in between. Now, they've been in Philadelphia. They do a lot of work trying to help people at all age levels and groups tap into their writer spirit. And so this is a masterclass I am doing, and it is with Philadelphia Stories. Now, Philadelphia Stories, again, is a group that is building a community of writers, artists, and readers across the Delaware Valley. So this is a masterclass. I am doing it on Saturday, live, Saturday, January 20th at 10 a.m. So I'm going to tell you what this is about. This class will teach people about the book publishing process from pitch to publishing, an inspirational course that breaks down how it works. I'm going to be putting y'all on game, okay? I'm going to be putting y'all on game about how the book business works. A lot of you all have asked me about this, wanted me to tell you, what was my book process? How did I publish this book? How did I get it done? How did I do this? How can you consider it in your own career? Well, I'm doing a virtual masterclass. It's only $35. $35. Nope, I'm not charging you 5 installments, no easy Apple Pay, $400, $5,000. No, just $35. And this is going to help this organization. They're a great organization, Philadelphia Stories. They're having a 20th anniversary celebration next year, and I'm a part of it. And they're kicking it off with this special masterclass I'm doing for one day only. It is called From Idea to Reality, How to Become a Published Author. I'm going to teach you all this. This is great skills. It's going to be from 10 a.m. It's virtual, so you don't have to meet me anywhere. So in other words, y'all, if you are based in Texas or Atlanta, wherever you are, just know that it's 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So you all can register for this course. It is virtual. If you want more information, hit the link in my bio on Instagram or on Twitter. So if you follow me on Instagram or Twitter, hit the link in my bio, and it's going to say register for Ernest's book masterclass. This is for the fans. This is for you all. This is for you all. A lot of you all have asked me to do workshops and things. And a lot of times I am often, I got to find the right place, the right outlet. And a lot of times I want to do it with a group. And so Philadelphia Stories is an institution that I support. I support the work that they're doing to really support writers and people in the business and the industry, especially local talent. And so I wanted to put out a program that, one, draw attention to their organization. You can make donations to them. And you can also a way to be a part of them and stay connected. So, again, I like to gatekeep opportunities. That's why I'm always doing public facing things and trying to bring you all into the loop. Take advantage. This is the opportunity for you. So if it's a New Year's resolution, you say, look, I want to get in, I want to know more about book writing, or I have a friend that can take advantage of this. Well, give this to your friend for a gift. Maybe you forgot them on Christmas, or they're Capricorn, they got a birthday coming up. Maybe this is an opportunity for you to help them out for that. Give them a nice little early Capricorn gift, or just give it to somebody that you want to really get serious about the business. So that link is in the bio. It's only $35. It's virtual. And if you are, it doesn't discriminate. We don't discriminate. So if you are 35, 45, 55, 25, it don't even matter. You can definitely take advantage of this opportunity. Okay. So that's that. Another cool announcement I want to make. Okay. And I was like, should I tell you all this? But I'm like, nah, y'all got to know. Save the date for February, okay? Wednesday, February 7th. I'm announcing it here for the first time. And this is why I'm telling you all as a podcast, this is why it's important to find out. I haven't announced this anywhere else. The flyer will not go out until next month in 2024. But save the date. The Lit Brothers are going to be live at the Hard Rock Cafe in Center City. We're doing a live special edition podcast episode at Hard Rock Cafe, Center City. Live podcast recording. Okay? It's going to be a special event. You're going to RSVP. We're going to have a link. We're going to have all of that. It will be free admission. There will be special happy hour drinks. There'll be fun, great bites, and you're going to get to be able to experience the Lit Brothers live. We'll be there. There's going to be some fun times. It's going to be a good time to be had. We're going to do a special edition podcast recording live at Hard Rock Casino. It's epic. It's going down. Save the date now, Wednesday. It's going to be in the evening. So let's say, I think it's going to be around 6 o'clock. around 6. But we're going to do a special podcast recording. It's going to be a special limited engagement. If you are in the city, if you want to come, if you want to see us live, if you want to be a part of the joy, come through. Hard Rock is going to have a special. They just brought out a new happy hour. But they're going to do a special happy hour that's going to roll out for the whole evening for this special event. So come through, have some great drinks. I personally love their hurricane. They're going to have some really great bites. It's going to be a good time. It's going to be me, Josh Eats Philly, Geo's Table, Jamarcus Henderson, the whole gang. And shameless plug, my bestie, my fave, Jamarcus, has new music out. So if you do not know that my bestie has music, he's a musician. Jamarcus has been working on his music for a minute. But he is doing remixes before he gears up for his next big album, which is coming out, next year. New album is coming out next year. He's working on it in the studio. You all know it very well. The last album was called Atonement, which I stand for Atonement. Oh my God, that was such a good album. Came out a couple years ago. Well, he's back. There is a song he has out called Boys Like Us. He's done a remix edition. The remixes are now available on all streaming platforms. So if you are on Apple, you're on YouTube Music, which I have, Google, whatever. It's out. It's out. It's out. The remixes are available for you all to check out. You can purchase on all music platforms, or you can stream. Get it now. Boys Like Us, the remixes. It's out right now. He says it's a special song because it's about self-love and being able to love no matter what you have been through. I agree. Support your local artists. Support Black queer artists. Check out his music. And also go into some of his older music too. Like all of his music is good. His new music is fire. But his other music, he has some songs that are very, very interesting. I enjoy them. I know the story behind the story of a lot of these songs. So I would encourage a lot of you all to take advantage. Get into the music. Get into the music. Okay, stand your friends. See, that's all I can do. I can stand my friends. I'm not standing these other artists. You know what I'm saying? I'm standing my friends. Too many of us, we get hype about other artists, but we got artists in our own backyard, authors and stuff. When I talk to my friends, I'll be like, what was your favorite book of 2023? If the answer is not the case for council culture, you're not my friend. I'm joking. If you tell people what artists are you listening to and they never name their friends' music, what friend are you? What friend are you? I'm just saying, support your friends. Support your friends. And this year was a year. Conclusion. My person of the year, because I always have a person of the year. My person of the year is going to go to none other than the District Attorney of Fulton County, Fannie T. Willis, is my person of the year. Why did I choose, District Attorney Fannie T. Willis? Because why not? I mean, she has been killing it. She has indicted Trump. She's come for YG. Is it YG or Young Thug? Young Thug. I got my thugs mixed up. Young Thug. She's come for all of the big people. Racketeering. She's been on the case. She's a Black woman that is utilizing the power of her office to take on real issues that's impacting us. Fannie Willis is that Atlanta prosecutor that has put it in the work. She's coming after a lot of people, and she's getting the job done. So I like her. I like her. I think that she is giving me hope. Somebody's got to give me hope. I mean, listen, she's been on it. She's been on it. She's been consistent. I told y'all how this is going to play out. What's going to happen to, Trump will be, the fall is going to be led by Black women. From her to, we're looking at the AG in New York State, Leticia James. These are Black women who have rallied up the troops and they're demanding justice. And we're going to see how it's going to play out in 2024. So I'm looking forward to it. And so this is my super long edition, the last episode of 2023, the finale. Christmas, enjoy your holidays, enjoy your Kwanzaa, because I'm Black, so, and let me tell you white people early, do not wish a Black person happy Kwanzaa, mind your business. Happy, winter solstice for those who participate, all of that good stuff. Happy year, happy everything, happy 150th episode. happy people reading the Case of Council Culture. Just happy for everybody. I look forward to 2024. I'm looking forward to, January 2nd, the inauguration of the first woman mayor of Philadelphia, Sherelle Parker. 100th mayor of Philadelphia. I'll be live broadcasting on WRD Radio. So if you want to hear me before January 8th, you can then too. But until then, as always, be well and be best. Ernestly Speaking is recorded in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and can be found on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. To stay up to date with the latest on the show, follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Mr. Ernest Owens. Use the hashtag Ernestly Speaking to tell me what you thought about this episode, and check out my website at ernestowens.com.